All right, episode, Josh, you're going to have to fill me in as the archivist here, and you'd think I'd know week to week, but man, it's been a busy day. I think it's 220.
Yes, episode 220. That's correct.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Nick's here, Ben's here, Josh is here. We want to shout out the very top here. We need you guys to know the value that our presenting sponsor, Titan Disc Golf, is bringing to our show is tremendous, and so we're hoping in return that our listeners will show that same amount of value to TitanDiscGolf.com. Honestly, this is a very cool brand to rep. This is a very cool brand to send you all to, TitanDiscGolf.com. Really quickly, right before the show, I wanted to see what was new or what was available that I might be interested in. They have Innova 4-time Paul McBeth pre-embossed Star Destroyer. They also have the embossed Destroyer 4-time Paul. Those are old. They've got Proto Kong. They've got a lot of stuff in there. I think that, what do they call this? The Titan Vault. So anyways, and one other thing I want to get out there is, yes, it's 10% off if you use code Staggered Stance. People are already using it. We have plans for how we're going to get you guys more for using that, as in like a raffle is going in for every time you buy something and use the code Staggered Stance. Every time you get a ticket to the raffle for our prize giveaway. One other thing I need to shout out is that 10% off for Staggered Stance code does not work on MVP discs. Well, no, it's not a bad thing. What it really means is MVP discs are already at the rock bottom. Literally, he can't go lower. What's that called, Ben? MSRP? That is a manufacturer set.
MAP is minimum advertised pricing. MSRP is...
It can't be lower. You're already at the bottom. Retail. So buy something else, get some MVP with it, get free shipping over $75. Titan Disc Golf is where it's at. And Matt Schlabach is coming out to the Northeast, or sorry, Disc East up here in Massachusetts. I got it. I think I got it on record. So that will be cool. Yes, Josh, Ben, Nick, you guys able to check out our presenting sponsor this week or what?
Well, yeah. So Titan Disc Golf, obviously, yes, they've got stores, etc. But TitanDiscGolf.com, as you see on the hats, of which I guess I've yet to obtain one. But Matt, a Titan is
Disc East. You're getting it.
Yes, a Titan is a thing of very great strength or importance. So they've named themselves wisely. And hey, if you want, I love to have a classification, 150 grams or less. And
they have a full-on page for that.
I know. Throwing like, Matt and I have thrown like 111 or 112 gram discs in the past when we were working with young kids. I don't think they have any that light, but let me tell you, there actually is a time and a place. If you have people who are more recreational or maybe not as high arm speed, honestly, give it a look. I know most of you don't care about that, but just pointing out they've got a pretty wide range of options out there.
I actually just recently threw the Z-Lite Hades in the McBeth line, but the Hades, it flies so freaking good. I think it was like a mid 150s, and it was more stable than a 175. It was like the perfect Hades that I could ask for. So definitely check out the 150 class discs. Yeah. They're actually very, very good.
Our last episode comments, Titan Disc Golf rocks. Just found a disc in a plastic and weight I've been hunting for everywhere. $1.90 off with code Staggered Stance too. So y'all are already using it, and I must say, like, if I ever got in a fight with Josh or Matt, then that'd be me throwing a 2-gram disc.
So here, this is
2 grams.
This is for all of our listeners last year. You'll get this.
That'll do, my friends.
You're like a graham sandwich right now, Ben.
Awesome.
2-gram sandwich.
Awesome. What a great presenting sponsor we have. And hopefully you guys appreciate the fact that we talk about our sponsors. We're not doing ad reads. We literally believe in this stuff. We're just going to talk about it. But go check them out for sure. Yes. Man, there's still a lot going on in the rumor mills. There's a lot of stuff going on. Actual news, for instance, Ken Climo. Shout out. This is a tease for Thursday. We're doing a special episode Thursday. The day that Climo releases whatever this ClimoDiscGolf.com is going to tell us. The day that he does that, he'll be on our show that evening giving us all the details. You may hear him other places, but January 15th, it's being announced.
It's being announced the 15th. We have them on the 16th.
Oh, sorry. The day after.
Yeah, we're the day after. Yeah, so we get to talk about it all. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, we get to talk about it all. We have
that. So that'll be great. Tonight, we have Isaac Robinson, and we have Paul McBeth. The clock just struck.
Hey, and
7:06 Eastern.
That means over a 3-day time span, we're representing 20 MPO World Championships on this show. That's actually pretty ridiculous.
Awesome. And I just want to say before we get Paul in here, I don't know if Paul can hear me. It looks like his camera's off. I'm just seeing black. We can bring him in that way if that's how he wants to do it. But if it's
Witness protection.
Paul, can you hear us? You're not live for our audience, but can you hear us? Maybe. Okay, he can hear us. But I'm not sure why the camera's black. I can see you're turning it on and off, but it's not turning on and off. Like I can see you did the function, but it's just showing black to us. Yeah, swipe out and try the link again. Just see what happens. That's what.
It'd be pretty funny though. Like witness protection. Like Paul probably has some inside news, and we can just be like, we have it on.
We can change his voice.
He knows who's going where. He's got all the inside scoops, so they got to put him somewhere. He's in a safe house.
We'll do.
We already we already doxed him, so we can't do that. But it would have been a fun idea.
Now that we're kind of meeting in different places, as in like Ben's not in studio with me, etc., and all this stuff, like we need to do like these pre-call screenings. Actually, like we'll take Ben off camera for a minute. He can do the test. I can see Paul now. Paul, can you hear us? All right, I'm gonna bring in Paul. Everybody, here we go. Welcome.
Bring him right on it.
The show. We'll just swoop like that, boom, in the middle of the show. Welcome to the show, Paul. Always fabulous to have you. Nick reached out. Hey, is it cool if we bring Paul on? And I said always. So. We got a little bit of time with you, dude. The beard is looking good, man. You go 10. I don't know how long is that. That hasn't been that long for you. It's a couple months. Oh, awesome, dude. It's great. So we got a little bit of time with you. We're excited to have you on, as always. And so Josh is going to kick things off tonight. So go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, Paul, thanks for joining. I did a quick math. These guys always tease about that, but 350 days since you were on our show last. So like we haven't talked to you much. We talk about you quite often, but it's nice to actually have
probably 350 of those days.
Yeah.
Whoa. I put that on you.
No audio from Paul.
I put this on you just for the last year. You know, we've always prided ourselves on trying to get the winners from events, and it's been a hot minute since we've seen McBeth in the winner circle.
Wonderful.
So, but the Flex Star at Olympus, that was a good way to end the year. And but anyways, Josh, you have the real questions.
I'm just seeing live chatters, so Matt, I don't know if you're paying attention, but they can't hear Paul.
Oh no,
we can.
But we
this
can,
whole time.
which makes no sense.
Hold on, let me see.
It's all right.
No, it's not your fault.
I don't think so. Because
they should hear you now. That's my fault. Dang it. So
all right,
let's do it this way real quick, just for the edit after. I'm just going to say, welcome to the show, Paul. Take it away, Josh. Here we go. All right, everybody. Welcome to the show, Paul. We're excited to have you. Go ahead, Josh. Take it away.
Yeah, thanks. So Paul, in all seriousness, I told Nick I have like at least 2 hours worth of questions I would love to chat with you about. He said that's not happening. But just to check in first, literally. So how is like the off season, including things like family life, like your son's growing older, still living in Jacksonville? Just like let us know like what's happening in your life.
I mean, things have been great. Season ended in mid-October and kind of just took some time off. Figured out some health stuff, feeling good now, getting ready to just going hard in the gym now, practicing, things like that. So just finished up some putting right before getting on here. But then it's obviously, like you mentioned, raising a 1-year-old. And he's all over the place. He's running around. So it's been good. We went to Virginia for Thanksgiving, California for Christmas. So we've still had our travels in there. But now we're pretty settled, except for one more trip coming up. I think it's really going to be my only trip out of Florida until the season starts, which is the Disc East.
Cool.
So,
yeah, that's right. Okay, so that's where you're kicking off season. I hear Ben in the background. He's getting jazzed that you mentioned that.
Ben's getting hyped.
Yeah,
I'm so hyped.
So
I'll be looking forward to
it. It's full on training now, and I'm looking forward to it. And I'm excited for the year. Don't have a whole lot of events on my schedule right now. I haven't posted it publicly, but just over 20.
Okay. I was going to ask, so there's a couple things I want to follow up on. So last year, I think you were in 22 events. I was going to say, are you sticking to that schedule? It sounds like you're roughly in that range at 20 planned events at the moment.
Yeah, typically it's between 20 and 25 events. So this year on the schedule right now is 21. Sometimes I'll fill in weekends. Sometimes things change and I won't make some. So 20, 25 is always ideal.
Yep. Okay, that makes sense. And you said just kind of working on some things. How are you feeling physically? Just the body, the normal wear and tear, plus things you've dealt with. You feel like that's in a good spot, or you have things that you're managing?
Yeah, physically, like health wise, everything feels good. Body feels good. Just need to get into shape. With the injury last July, or well, 2023, I just focused on playing and not necessarily working out, and now I'm paying for it. So, want to get back into shape, lose some pounds. I think strength is still there, which I guess you get that when you have a kid. So that's still there, but yeah, just need to get into shape and get on that. But skill wise, everything feels like it's starting to click.
I was going to say, are you focused? I mean, you kind of answered this, but general fitness, but then you've got disc golf technique, which is different. You're saying you feel like I don't know if that's the right word, but technique, approach, right? Disc golf skills feel good, and it's just about kind of making sure the body stays in line with that.
Yeah, I think those are two distinct things. You got the skill set, and then you need the be in shape and cardio and all that stuff for the tour. So you can have the skills, but your body's going to wear down. You're not going to be able to last the whole season. So I think the skill side last year I definitely worked on, but I wasn't able to maintain that through the year, and that really cost me. I mean, as you see, I didn't put together a full tournament. I didn't put together 3 or 4 rounds or 5 as I needed, just because I didn't have that in the gas tank. But skill wise, everything feels good. There's always stuff to work on, and I'm doing that now, and it's enjoyable. It makes disc golf fun when you're learning and when you're not trying to like find what's missing. And then obviously in the gym, which with the baby, I kind of got to wait until he goes down because he's
It's a
all over the place.
different kind of workout. Are you
Yes.
you mostly doing home gym?
Yeah, home gym. So that way I can be here when he's sleeping, and we're sleep training him right now, which is nice. So he's getting into bed. I got to put him in bed as soon as I hop off here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, blame us if he has a bad night.
He'll find a way to blame me. Don't worry.
Yeah. I smile because I appreciate what you're going through. I mean, my youngest is now 10, but I still remember much of that. So this is such a generic question, but I want to ask, I think we're interested. So we're not going to recap the year you had last year. We talked about 22 events. There was a streak broken in there. Obviously, you had some incredibly hot rounds. As you said, you didn't put together really a full end-to-end tournament. What's your expectation, being one of the best to ever play the game? Like, you probably expect to win every event. Like, but where's your mindset at? We're 6.5 weeks away from the first event at your course. Are you gunning for every single event? And is that where your mental game is at?
Yeah, every term I show up to, the goal is to win. And like last year, I just never put together a full tournament. I had great rounds, but they were never in a row. And that's kind of what it takes to win. So if I can clean up mistakes, and that's really it, and then just get more confidence in putting really is the biggest difference in my opinion. If I can get the confidence on the greens, I think that's going to be a game changer because it's going to take so much pressure off the drives and the up shots. But yeah, I think there was many tournaments I should have won last year. I was in the position to. I can think of a handful, but I just never closed on them. So I think it's no different next year. And even though I didn't win, I got 6th in DGPT points, which isn't what I'm gunning for. But I did have a bad season to my standards, but it was still a really good year.
Yeah, I think that whenever we obviously talk about the sport every single week, and I think that surprises some people. For example, saying, yeah, like Paul had an off year, but still finishing 6th, and whether that's sneaky or not, I guess is for us to debate. We've talked about this before, but in your mind, are you differentiating? Do you have your eyes set more on the majors, or really at this point, every event is just all out?
No, I think every tournament's all out, and it's always been that way. I just think the majors are just another step further. One, because they're longer typically. I wish every major was 5 rounds, DGPT 4, and then whatever else 3, or playoffs 4, and then the regular ones 3. Or it doesn't matter to me. I just wish all the majors were 5 because we don't have to be exactly like golf. We can be unique in our way. But I just think that the majors, the cream rises to the top, and that's kind of why I've succeeded at the majors more so than the other events. They're shorter. Some of them are just pure sprints the whole way. Some of them are endurance, but I just think I need to figure out how to just get hot out the gates and then just battle from there, because it's so hard to climb up all the time if you don't have a good start.
Yeah.
And I think it's just focus, really. I think I need to find that focus again too.
All right. So staying healthy, focus, putting, being confident on the greens.
A lot to improve on. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's great. You got to have your eyes set. And we talked about majors. How do you feel about the European stretch this year, which is really packing some of the top events in our sport in a fairly tight window? And I asked this because you talked about you kind of got to get hot and have some confidence. So that stretch is going to be really key for a lot of people's season.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that scheduling and how tight that is to have those majors in there?
I mean, I don't personally mind, but they're really close to each other. They're like 3 or 4 hours away from each other. I think that's going to be interesting, but it's not unheard of, because they kind of have to do that. It's hard to get the players to go from U.S. to Europe, back to U.S., back to Europe. So it makes sense. But I was surprised that they were back-to-back events and not like one at the start, one at the end. But it's like I said, it's not unheard of. We've done it in the past, and if you are hot, you're usually going to finish well in both, maybe win both. But it also gives you a second chance if you were a little slow on the first one to heat up in the second one, or vice versa. So I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah. So the other guys may have some questions on play, but I actually want to transition just a bit and ask you a question. I see you're wearing your Supreme Flight shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, I'm curious about that specifically, but also just in general at this point in your career. And I'm wording it that way on purpose, because it seems like you also have more business ventures and other interests that are also playing out. How do you like balance that? Maybe that's my first question. Then tell us a little bit about what you've kind of resurrected Supreme Flight. I have some old Supreme Flight discs on my shelf back here from the original iteration.
Yeah. Which I mean, I originally started with my buddy John Tompkins. He started that up in Southern California. I think, man, I should know what year. I think it was 2014 or somewhere around there. But he just kind of he played Oak Grove all the time. They never had a pro shop. So he kind of started his own thing so he can sell discs there, and he named it Supreme Flight. And I was I think I was the first sponsored player with him, and we just collaborated on a lot of stuff. And I love the brand, and so many people did. But unfortunately, he got into, well, I shouldn't say unfortunately, he got into trading cards, sports cards and stuff. And he said sports cards take up far less room than discs.
Yeah.
And he was looking to, have a baby in the future, and congrats to them. They just had their first child.
Awesome.
So now it's a baby room. But yeah, so I ended up taking that over we ended up taking it over when I was with Foundation Disc Golf years back, but it never resurfaced really when I was there. And when I left, I was able to take Supreme Flight with me. And it just took a couple of years to get things in order and to finally revamp it. And here we are. We've dropped a couple of product drops. Not as much as we'd like so far, but we're starting to get it out there. But the whole goal is to just make a brand that people want to wear, and make it high quality stuff that I want to wear, Dylan wants to wear. I think Nick was wearing something. But we also want to use our connections to incorporate, with other athletes and celebrities and just people of interest to so many people, because we want to continue to get more eyes on disc golf and collab with people that might not have an interest in it otherwise. So we want to just continue to grow disc golf as much as we can in any way. So that's kind of where Supreme Flight is and what we're trying to do with it. And also we're working with a lot of really cool artists. I think that's another fun thing we've been doing. But Supreme Flight's going good, and then Olympus Disc Golf Course is going pretty good too. So
yeah, Nick tells us all about that. So that's awesome.
Yeah. We recently just had to let go of an employee though, unfortunately. So
Nick, is there breaking news here? What's going on? Yeah.
Joey Bagels.
Yeah, see ya.
Yeah, so I want to ask just a little bit more. So
yeah, here's a disc that just showed up today, which is pretty cool.
Oh, that's nice looking.
Which way is it? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, we can see it. That looks awesome.
That just showed up today, so that's pretty sweet.
All right. That's pretty cool. And so people can go check out, like when you're saying that showed up, people can go buy these?
Not yet, but there will be a drop-in within the next 2 weeks, maybe next week. What's today? Tuesday?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah,
Oh,
today's
today's
Monday,
Monday.
yeah.
Sorry, today's Monday. Yeah, I don't know the exact date when they're dropping, but
Okay.
soon. They showed up a little later than they were supposed to. So
All right. Well, if people follow you or Supreme Flight or whatever, they can see that, right? Because I mean, you're teasing us with the
correct.
disc on the screen. People are going to ask.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
SupremeFlight.com.
Awesome.
You'll see it coming.
Okay. Very cool. So, business ventures right now in the state of the market of disc golf, which is under a lot of pressure, which some of it I think is very real pressure, and then other things obviously spin in the rumor mill. Just curious, from your standpoint, I mean, you've been in disc golf for a long time. You were grinding when the sport required grinding, and then you saw the wave, took advantage a lot of that, as you well should, and maybe you're kind of seeing what's happening now. Just curious, your take on the disc golf market. Are there any concerns on your end? Are you feeling pressures? Are you seeing it? Just looking for your perspective as a top disc golfer.
It's interesting. I'm hearing a lot over at Discraft. It's not so much, I think, because they were very calculated with their decisions. With my contract, a lot of it came before COVID had impacted the sport and the growth. And I know Discraft, they did get more machines, but it wasn't because of COVID, and just kind of the growth of the sport in that way. So I think they just made a lot of good moves in that time, and they're not really seeing the big repercussions that a lot of these other companies that might have overspent with that growth. And I don't know. I think that's what's allowing them to connect with a lot of players right now, collaborate with a lot of players, sign with players, and I think they just see that the sport needs, that kind of entity in the sport right now, to where they're trying to keep a lot of players afloat, trying to keep it from crashing completely. And I think there's a couple other manufacturers that may have been a little smarter in that time, and you can see them doing a very similar thing. But it sucks to see so many brands come in and leave or struggle, because if everyone's doing well, then the sport's doing well. So hopefully things turn around for some of them, and hopefully some of them can get out before it gets too deep. But I think things are going well at Discraft, and hopefully they continue going that way.
Yeah. So moving on from manufacturers to touring players, sponsored players for many of them. We've had Gannon Burr on here last week talk about this, but we've heard this in plenty of other like forums about how there may be, I guess this is a question, but like fewer players on tour. We don't have to speculate on that, but the point is with fewer sponsorships or tighter sponsorships, there's probably more of a grind. And I'm just curious your perspective. I mean, I mentioned you had to grind in your early years. We saw different sponsorship models, touring arrangements, different ways to make money on the tour. Do you think that'll happen for many of these players? And what kind of mindset should those players have if you were advising them?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a struggle and a grind for a lot of players. When I first started touring, we toured in just one vehicle, and it'd be like a small, like a Honda Civic, but there would be about 3 of us traveling in the vehicle. You take one big suitcase, and you take 15, 20 extra discs, and you'd have to either buy or share or things like that. And Airbnb, I don't think was really a thing when I started touring, so it's pretty much hotels or connecting with people in town, and sleeping where you could or sharing beds. So it was a true grind. And I think honestly, one of the biggest things that's I think impacting a lot of these players is these entry fees are so expensive now. I think it's $350 for a DGPT event or something, 250 plus. And that was, 5 or 6 events back when I was playing. So I think that's a big thing that's really overlooked is Pro Tour might have priced a lot of players out, because before, sponsors would just, all right, we'll cover your entry fees, and that's part of this sponsorship. But now, it's five to $10,000 just in entry fees alone, if players are playing all the Pro Tours, majors, and those and Silver Series, to where top end you'd be paying 5,000 in entry fees. So I think that's kind of what's padding a lot of these payouts and these added cash and stuff like that, or total purses from what we used to see. So sport's definitely grown, but I think a lot of it is these entry fees, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I know we're running up on time here, but we interviewed Jeff Spring on here and have talked about different pro tour challenges, including things that made disc golf news, like late payouts and people maybe not signing up as quickly for tour cards. Any perspective from you on pro tour and how they're managing the growth and maybe these challenges? You just commented on, obviously, entry fees. But this is my last question, and then I'll hand it to Nick just to wrap things up.
I mean, I think the Pro Tour is doing the best that they know, the best that they know or to their knowledge. And none of them have run a tour really, or things like this. I think Phil DeLone maybe used to do big events. Sean Jack, who works with the Pro Tour and OTB, they've done events like that was their job previously before getting on with the Pro Tour. So I think they're just still learning as they go. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to do things great. But as you guys know, people always point out the negative instead of, patting your back on the positive. So people are always going to find something to complain about. And yeah, they did have late payments and such, but I think they just need to be a little bit more open about, why and how it's happening, which I think they did step up and say that. But players are just relying so much more on the payouts now than they used to. And I think, again, a lot of it has to do with paying $350 for an entry fee. You want to get paid your money, as soon as you cash. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I think they're doing the best that they can right now. We can always wish for better, but it's still running 10 years now. So
yeah, well put. I mean,
go ahead, Nick.
I was gonna say well put, because like everyone does like to harp on the bad things rather than all the good that does come out of it and the sustainable lifestyle that a lot of disc golfers do have nowadays. I think kind of talking about just some exciting news in the sport of disc golf. One of the things you said in the last couple of years was you wish Kenny was more involved in the sport. That was one of the biggest things with the GOAT debates and all these things. And one of your things was just wishing Ken Climo was more involved in the sport of disc golf and not just kind of in the background, because he is such an incredible player, such an incredible enthusiast with disc golf. He's done out some commentary for USDGC. He's done, last year's Chess.com Invitational. And you got your wish, Paul. Climo Disc Golf. Can you talk to us a little bit about it? Anything that you got your wish. Kenny is back.
Yes, it's great to see Climo Disc Golf. That's awesome. I love his logo too. And that video they made was really cool. So if you haven't watched it, go check it out. Go check out the 10-minute version. Because I saw some things about Kenny that I'd never seen, some footage, which was really cool that they were able to get that out the archive. But no, this is exactly what I meant. I think Discraft took it more to heart than Innova did, because they were like, why is he not involved? Like, this is the 12-time world champion. He's got 18 majors. He was the face of the sport for so many years. And you see it in golf, Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, like these are the legends of golf. Like, why is the legend of disc golf not around more while he's still here? So I'm glad, Discraft did something, made some moves on it, and Kenny was all ears for it, and made the switch. And I know Climo, I will say I don't know what Climo Disc Golf is dropping. So I'm looking forward to seeing, what comes out. I know a few details, but yeah, this is exactly what I think. The sport needs. They need Kenny. They need that old school feel and just that history. I think Kenny just needs to continue sharing his story and grow on the sport. And like he said, the legacy continues.
Yeah, I mean, definitely to everyone, go on to ClimoDiscGolf.com, because that video was sick. It was about a 10-minute video that was really, really well done. I think part 2 of it is coming out on the 14th or the 15th. I know everything's dropping on the 15th, but part 2 of that video is coming out soon. Paul, really quick before I let you go, last year, 2024, the Kratos came out. It came out at Disc East in that awesome Z Sparkle plastic. We looking forward to anything this year at Disc East 2025? What can all of the patrons be on the lookout for?
So we were just going over this today, and I got the green light to say, but we are going to do a Swirl Z Glow Luna, and then a Confetti Crystal Luna.
Sick.
So I don't know
Well-
if anyone knows what the confetti is yet, but you will know soon. So
Let's go.
There you
That's
go, Ben.
huge.
We got-
Exclusive.
yeah, exclusive.
I didn't even know that. Yeah, Paul the Disc East. Let's go. And
Ben,
AB will be there too. So
Ben hit me up a week or two ago, Ben, and you were like, "Yo, is Paul coming to the Disc East?" I just heard it, and I was just like, "I'm not even going to say anything because I don't know if I'm supposed to say."
yeah. I did
so
not know.
I'll be there Saturday. I'll be with the Discraft. I'll be at the Discraft booth in the morning, from open to, probably be there 5 or 6 hours with them. And then I'll be hanging out at Brixton after lunch, doing some
sweet.
signings. And so Brixton will have the big presence there, but I'm looking forward to dropping some Lunas. You said AB is going to be there, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
AB it will be at Disc East as well.
Yeah. So AB and I will be collabing on a disc.
Oh,
yeah.
and check this, Paul. Check out my gold
You're too
McBeth
small. I can't tell. Oh, the
collection.
series. Nice.
Oh, it's upside down. There we go.
Oh, now
Check
you're
out my
upside down
gold
again.
Now
McBeth.
you're upside down, but
Oh, now you're right side up. Yep.
you're good, you're good.
Okay.
They're all mixed.
Anyways, these are all gold Macbeths. So
That's awesome.
shout out Brixton.
Oh,
I've
here,
been
actually,
collecting them.
I have my Decade of Dominance back there.
Oh, dude, I was trying to get the Decade of Dominance,
Yeah.
but yeah. So these are all gold Macbeths. I haven't completed the set yet, but one day.
Nice.
Well, Paul, we don't mean to boot you out, but we know you got a baby that you're sleep training right now. Do you have anything else off the top of your head that you just have to get out there? Because we could talk disc golf drama with you for hours on hours, I'm sure, but we
What's the
know.
drama? What's the
Yeah,
drama?
just disc golf in general, I guess.
Oh, okay. No, I've been out of the loop a little bit, trying to not pay attention to that, get my game going. But
Yeah.
no, I'm just excited for the Spring Flight Open, the start of the tour this year, down in Brooksville, Florida. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to the tour. Big shout out to Discraft. They're always trying to. I still got quite a few years with Discraft, and I'm so happy about that. So it's weird not making a "Hey, I'm signing with Discraft" kind of post, year after year. But I'm with them, happy about it. Looking forward to doing more things like this Disc East, dropping a couple Lunas, and just doing a lot of things. And I'm just pumped. They signed Kenny, and I'm excited to see what that, how that goes. What is it, the 15th you guys said? The video
15th.
drop 14th,
2 days from now,
15th,
yeah.
and then
Yep.
he'll be on here the 16th.
Yep.
So I'm stoked for what Discraft's doing. Hopefully they can continue to do that. And just looking forward to the year. And if you can, check out supremeflight.com. I know Dylan's really grinding, hitting the gym in his Supreme Flight gear. So I need to get on his level.
Yeah, make sure you guys
Love
all
it.
get your Supreme Flight gear
For sure.
and come visit us at Olympus.
Yes, yeah. Nick needs people to come visit him, so keep him busy. Keep him busy.
Exactly. Come check out my new hole 16. So,
Yeah.
anyways, Paul, thank you so much. Tell
Yeah,
the little
thank you.
man we all say hello. Tell Hannah we said thank you as well. And we'll definitely catch you sometime soon. We're actually just about to interview Isaac Robinson, Latitude's newest big time player.
There you go. Tell him hello, and I look forward to trying to take his title. So
There we go.
I could hear you say that. So
Sweet.
later.
All right, take it easy, Paul. Later.
thank you.
That's a sweet transition. Got a little trash talking going between one competitor
Take
to
his
the
title.
other. You just hear Isaac in the background laughing. I love it.
We can hear him. I don't
Yeah,
think
we can
everybody
hear
else
him.
can.
Yeah.
Isaac's getting a kick out of that.
Again, now my microphone is.
Oh, we don't hear Matt, though.
That's
yeah,
okay.
we're all
This is-
waiting up for Matt to talk.
Oh yeah, I
and
was
we're
gonna.
like,
I
why
thought
is
it was Matt.
blank?
Yeah.
I was moving my mouth. Thanks, guys, for covering that for me. I'm all over with the mics tonight. but
We're like,
gonna go
why
ahead
is
and
Matt
bring
not
in-
talking?
So, like 8 buttons to get people in here with all that we going on. But let's do it. Bring in the show.
You need me back in studio, Matt. Come on, I'm
we
ready.
need another intern, not you. All right.
No.
Welcome to the show, Isaac Robinson. Everything should be good for audio, I'm hoping. What's up, dude?
Sweet. Good to be here, guys. How's it going?
Awesome.
Very
It
good.
is good.
Congrats. I mean, since I've said this via text message or whatever, but congrats on the marriage, dude. Like, that's pretty cool. Yeah?
Thank you. I
Pretty cool.
appreciate it.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty cool so far. A month and a half in, it's still
Don't
cool.
don't say so far. Don't say so far. We're all laughing. Ben's
Right now,
next
it's
up.
about to be done. Yeah.
Ben's
I'm about to
next
get
up.
married in
He's
April.
engaged. Married in April, so we'll see. Any quick
Yay, let's go.
Isaac, any quick like advice for Ben? I mean, you just went through it. So like what's fresh
What
on
do
your
I gotta
mind?
do?
Like
Just listen to all her wedding plans.
I was
and
just gonna say.
throw in advice if you need it, but don't Don't
what
try
I'm
to plan
doing.
things.
Don't do any planning.
I'm already planning 2 expos. I don't have the capacity to plan a third, so that's what I'm letting
The
There you
happen.
wedding's
go.
in Expo.
Did you do any like food tastings or anything like that as part of your wedding prep, or no?
No, no,
Okay.
not at all.
'Cause-
We kept it pretty simple.
Okay. Because I think Ben went through that. He might have missed a show.
I
for
did.
that.
I did miss a show to go through my wedding tastings, and honestly, I'm gonna give a Stagger Stance exclusive. We're gonna go with gravy. I mean, turkey and gravy. All right, as one of the dishes, and maybe either scrod or salmon. As you know, so there's some
Wow.
options. But yeah, we're
Exclusive.
feeding our guests turkey. So if you like turkey, if you like Thanksgiving, you're in for a treat.
I'll be
That's
there.
not
Ben.
bad. That's pretty
I'll
good.
be there.
Well, you
Oh.
guys will all hopefully be there. Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
Isaac's
Isaac, you can
included.
come.
I'll be there.
Shout out.
I'll be
Yeah.
Isaac's gonna like skip some tournament in April just to be back for Ben's wedding.
Yep.
It is an off.
I'm there.
It is an off week though, so it's
Well,
after.
We're going
Music
live
City.
at the wedding. I mean, we have to,
Bet.
right?
Speaking of which, you mentioned tournaments and stuff, Nick. I mean, congratulations. Also, I mean, one of the main reasons we're having you on is your announcement of a new sponsorship, and with Latitude 64. Pretty cool. We want to hear all about it. The things you can share, the things you can't share, we want to hear too. No, okay. I don't know if there's anything you can't share, but congrats on that. Tell us what it took to get to that point, because you announced leaving Prodigy, and maybe you can't tell us, but how long was that process to get to Latitude 64?
It was several months in the making. So pretty much you kind of start asking around right as the Pro Tour wrapped up. So I gave Prodigy a 2-month notice that I was required to do. And then we just started talking to as many companies as we could. So I was working with Blake Schaefer, and he kind of handled a lot of the business side of things. So contacting team managers or company owners. And he just, at the end of the day, got me all these offers and was like, which one do you think is best for you? Which one would you like to go with? And we were able to go talk through the Latitude offer really well. They were really willing to talk through the offer, which was nice. And so we were able to negotiate up a little bit. And then I think both parties got what they were looking for. So that was, a couple months. We finally got it finalized at the end of December. So it was ready to go in January.
Yeah, that's awesome. So salary, bonuses, all of that aside, I'm actually setting that aside for a moment. I mean, everybody's always curious about that. But I'm wondering, what else were you potentially looking for when thinking about identifying your personal brand with a sponsor? Or is it possible really it was all about the dollars and cents? Just curious your perspective on that.
Yeah, I mean, dollars and cents they only go so far as your brand, really. And so if you're able to build a good brand with the discs, then you're going to, you're going to sell more, people are going to feel more connected. And then at the end of the day, that makes the contract a lot bigger than just the initial amount. So building a brand was all that to say, a building brand was very important to me. And Latitude was a company that I saw that a lot of people really liked. They're very popular, especially over in Europe. And so it's kind of neat for the opportunity to build a European fan base. And then also they're very popular in the US as well. So I wanted to go with a more popular company that had, opportunity to grow both in Europe and the US. So that was a big factor thinking about the contract.
Okay. So you feel like Latitude 64, you just mentioned, kind of meets some of those additional expectations beyond obviously getting paid. Did you talked a little bit about the timeline when the Pro Tour season ended, et cetera. Did you have any other serious conversations with other manufacturers, and was it competitive for you, or did Latitude pretty much just separate themselves in the conversation?
Latitude definitely separated themselves. There was I think 2 different companies that we were talking with. So Latitude and then 2 other ones that were pretty competitive. And at the end of the day, we went with Latitude.
Okay.
obviously.
Yeah. And was Prodigy in the conversation for you? And I don't just mean like were they matching offers or not, although that's
Mhm.
part of it, but more like had you
Yeah.
made up your mind that we often hear in disc golf that changing to a new manufacturer in and of itself sometimes is actually one of the drivers. Was that decision pretty much made that you were leaving Prodigy regardless, or were they also in the mix?
Yeah, unfortunately, as soon as the season ended, it was pretty much kind of over with me and Prodigy. Really didn't feel like it was a good fit for me. Obviously, I threw their discs very well, and I will say I was very happy with everything that how it went down. Nothing weird, nothing shady, anything. It was all good experience for me and for them, I hope. But it was just time to move on. You're kind of working your way up, trying to get promotion, trying to get advertising, trying to get kind of eyes on your play, on the discs you're throwing. And at the end of the day, switching sponsors does that very, very well. So that's what I wanted.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's nice that you were able to leave on good terms, no court
Mhm.
cases, nothing like that. So,
Yeah, no, it was very smooth. Very
uh,
happy with that.
that's awesome. And you may or may not have caught, but like I think when Will was on here last week, I asked if he could tell us where you were going, but clearly
Mhm.
he doesn't have that information himself. So,
There you go.
did you feel? Did you feel we? I've been talking about this on the show for the last month or two because there's always seems to be some story about pressures in the disc golf market at the moment, right? We talk
Mhm.
about it, kind of the post-COVID drop, maybe bursting a bubble, etc. Did you feel that context made a difference for you in your negotiations, and maybe or was that largely irrelevant for you because you're coming on the back of two worlds and you're going out there
Mhm.
trying to get a deal? Did you feel that the current market was a factor?
Um, yes and no. I've had people tell me, "Oh, you could have gotten a lot more. You could, if this was 4 years ago, you'd be sitting on $1 million contract." And I really just don't see that as like a possibility, really. So I'm very happy with what I got and with what the contract that I have now. Um, could I have gotten more? Probably a little bit more. But also, I've been playing for consistently on the tour for just barely 3 years. And yeah, I've got two world titles, but I also don't have that consistency that you need to succeed and to get those multi-million dollar contracts. And so I think people kind of look at the two world titles and they're like, "Oh yeah, he deserves $1 million," and probably not. You need to build that consistency and those years on tour. Um, I think you need to be on tour for you know, double digit years and have multiple wins every season to kind of get that $1 million deal.
Yeah. So you're saying there's still plenty out there to fuel that fire to
Oh yeah,
push
this is
for.
this is just a mid-level contract working my way up.
All right. Well, not bad for winning two back-to-back worlds. And I'm going to ask you a little bit about what your goals are, which maybe are obvious, maybe aren't. But how was it having an agent during this process? Do you think is that
Mhm.
highly valuable for you? And maybe just talk about how it's valuable. Meaning, is it business
Yeah.
negotiation, or is it just taking the
Mhm.
pressure off of you? Like, what's the value of having an agent during this process?
Yeah, I think for me it was almost invaluable. The amount of stress and mind power that it took off of me was huge. And it's great having a middleman. So you can go to these companies and you can tell them what you want to say, but you don't have to tell them that. So my negotiations, he can be push a little harder and kind of take the brunt of the criticism from me, and he can negotiate it. And he did a very good job, um, communicating what I wanted without being, too forceful or making me look bad. But I think we still got where we wanted to get to. And for me, it's hard for me to have those conversations sometimes. It's hard to go to a company and be like, "Pay me more money." Straight to their face. But if you have an agent, you can kind of get them to do that for you, and they're more than happy. Blake was more than happy to do that for me.
And is your deal, do you feel like it's a good balance of what I'm going to call, I don't know if the proper words here, but guaranteed salary versus like bonus incentives or royalties. Do you feel like you've struck a balance in this deal that is that incentivizes you appropriately?
Yes, very much so. I feel like the base pay is perfect for what I need month to month to stay on the road, to put some in savings, and then I get royalties immediately. So whatever discs sell with my logo or my signature series, I get royalties on top of what I'm getting paid. So it's it's a good balance for me to, kind of build a brand and advertise the disc that I really like. But then also at the end of the day, I have something to kind of fall back on too. So I'm very happy with it. I couldn't really ask for much better.
And do you get a nice little bonus if you get a third world championship? Is that part of it?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Okay. I don't know if you need any extra incentive there, to be honest, but
No, I don't need more pressure.
So I'm curious. We see players, especially right now in the sponsorship market. Okay, so I'm going to come right out and say you're towards the top or the very top kind of deal in this off season. There's a little bit of movement, but we've heard a lot of pressure kind of down, further down the sponsorship ladder, and we see players trying to make this up in a bunch of different ways. And so my question to you is, how are you balancing your responsibility to simply play well, like just meaning all your focus is just performing on the course, or do you feel, or maybe your contract requiring anything when it comes to personal branding or marketing or business ventures? Where are you, like if you were to put that on a scale, is it all about play and performance, or are you actually kind of like thinking more broadly about, how you're making up your portfolio?
Yeah, I think for me, 80% of my focus is put on play. I want to, the only reason I'm out there is to win or to place well in tournaments. And so that is my main goal. And then the other kind of small, well, I'm not saying this is correct, but 20% of my focus is going to be building a brand. Um, I'm out here to win. I'm out here to win tournaments. And I think by doing that, you can build a brand. But I also recognize that I need to build kind of a social media presence, be more active, put out more content. And so I'm going to be focusing a lot on that this year as well, more than I have in the past. So they kind of go hand in hand. But at the end of the day, I'm out there to win. I'm out there to collect as many titles as I can.
And will you be so that additional focus you said about like social media presence, et cetera, is that something that you mostly will do independently on your own, or will you have anybody help you with that?
Yeah, I'll do it on my own. It's nice having, being married, having a wife who walks
Who also wants
around
to
on
help?
the course with you. Because before I just didn't have anybody to film. Just very practically, nobody was walking with me, nobody was doing anything, and so I just didn't have content to post. And so with her, she'll be a huge help, filming and just doing different things around. So really excited. Just another great thing about marriage.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, literally, of course, we all like can chuckle about things, but having a life partner, obviously goes beyond disc golf, but
Yes.
that is really, really awesome. Really happy for you. Speaking of that, so like, what are your tour plans? I mean, I maybe want to talk about events or goals, but literally logistically, like, so are you
Yeah.
traveling with your wife? Are you driving? Are you flying? Like, what's the year look like for you?
Yeah, so we are just hitting the ground running. We're going to be playing every US event, and then we're going to spend 6 weeks in Europe this year.
Okay.
Not
So we're
bad.
playing all the European tournaments, and so and then some of the Go Throw events too. So we have a full schedule, and we just couldn't be more excited. She's going to be traveling with me the whole time, and we'll be mostly driving. So yeah.
Awesome. We, Gannon on here last week, said he bought a, soccer mom vehicle. And, he's expecting some flack for that. But are you traveling in like a tour van, or is it just a car to Airbnbs?
Yeah, it's a Mazda CX-5. So we're just gonna be doing Airbnbs. The roof rack actually just came in tonight, so
Nice.
we're gonna be packing that as well.
Airbnbs with the boys, or now no boys?
No boys, no boys, unfortunately.
Come on, it'd be fun. My wife. No, I'm kidding. No.
It's a different stage of
would not.
life.
I'll ask her. I'll see. I'll see what
Okay.
she says.
Yeah, maybe once and then never again.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so people want to know, like, when's your first event that you'll be throwing Latitude 64 discs that at least we'll all get to publicly see or know about?
Yeah. So I wasn't gonna play any events this off season. I was just gonna practice, and then the announcement came out, and I got all these discs, and I immediately signed up for the Savannah Open down in
Okay.
Savannah, Georgia.
Is that
And I
soon?
believe Ace Run Pro.
This weekend, I think.
It's this weekend.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. So Ace Run Pro will be down there filming. And so yeah, you can
All right.
watch that when it comes out.
People are going to be curious to watch. Obviously, we have a memorial happening, I think, this weekend as well,
Mhm.
right? But people are going to
Yep.
want to see how you're throwing. And so, to that point, disc selection, you feel like you're already like zeroing it in, or is actually this event part of that process for you? Like, where are you at?
Yeah, this event is definitely just kind of see how they perform under pressure. Um, I feel like most of my slots are pretty good, pretty full. I'm still trying to find a good mid range that I can get kind of that late flip with, very torque resistant. I'm trying out a bunch, but that's still a slot that's pretty open. Haven't quite nailed down what I want to throw there.
So as we watch you throwing your discs, we're going to be
Mhm.
speculating where your mindset is at, and like if you have an errant throw, is it learning the discs, or is Isaac,
Mhm.
not throwing so hot? So it'll be interesting for us to watch, and of course, people are going to always be clamoring to see what you put in your bag.
Mhm.
What remind me, is it the Rive? Like, you've been selling a disc already, and you
Yes.
talked about you can even get
Yes.
royalties on it right away, and I've seen you sharing
Mhm.
on social media. People are already getting these things. Is that right? So tell us
Mhm.
about that.
Yeah. So that is I'm still learning the plastics, but I believe it's a Royal Grand Orbit Rive. And so as soon that was the first disc that I just picked up from Latitude, and I was like, this is the best driver ever. So it was something that went straight in my bag, and I asked them if we could do this kind of special, you know, uh, orbit thing with it, and so that we came out with a black and gold and then a white and gold one. Um, and I will be throwing those exact ones in my bag for sure.
Awesome. Well, they look great, and people seem happy, and people are obviously excited. And this is what we
Mhm.
talked about. Moving to a new sponsor in and of itself presents some excitement, and then obviously Latitude 64 with some great discs, as you've kind of said.
Mhm.
So as you were joining the show, and I think it was said in a lighthearted way, but I think there's some real authenticity behind it as well, which is Paul says he's gunning to take that title because you've held
Yeah.
it 2 years in a row. Paul's
Mhm.
held it plenty of times in the past.
Yep.
So, like, what's your reaction? I mean, you can react to the Paul comment. That would be
Mhm.
great. But just in general,
Yeah.
meaning, like, you obviously are the 2-time defending champ. So
Mhm.
everybody is in the MPO looking to knock you off. How does
Mhm.
that like feel for you? Like, I mean, you did it once, but now you've done it twice. It's different.
Yeah. I want to say each time gets harder, but I think actually with two now, I think it's actually getting easier. Um, and yeah, I heard Paul's comment. It made me laugh. But yeah, I
Wait,
mean,
made you
everybody.
laugh just because you're being polite, or made you laugh because there's not a chance Paul can come and take it from you?
I think there's a chance. I think there's a chance, but
Okay.
I'm gonna make him work his butt off.
So it's like the
Good
old
man.
school Dumb and Dumber. It's like, so you're telling me there's a chance.
Hey. Oh yeah. No, it's gonna be
Um,
good. I couldn't be more excited to play in Finland this year.
Yeah, I was going to say, so again, I'm kind of dancing around. Besides the obvious goal of getting a three-peat, which is going to be the big
Yep.
story for you, right?
Mhm.
I mean, that is going to be the story of 2025 when people are seeing how that plays out. But there's a lot more events on the calendar. So, like, what's
Mhm.
your like general? I know it's such a generic question, but what are your goals?
Mhm.
Like, when you're looking at the season, besides winning every single event, how are you approaching this from a goal-oriented mindset? Like, what will you be satisfied with at the end of this year?
Yeah, I think my goal for every year is to take down at least one event. That's been my goal since the start, and so I think it's worked out well so far. So I'll keep doing that. I would love to get multiple Elite Series. Um, that's something I've not been able to do, and it really just kind of bugs me because we're week in and week out at these events, and I just I've only won Idlewild, um, and so I would love to get some consistency on the road, consistency taking these tournaments down. But obviously, I think some of my favorite ones would be the Portland Open and Green Mountain Championship would be kind of the two
Coast
ones
to
that I would
coast.
love to win. Yeah. Yep.
That'd be pretty
Those
awesome.
would be good.
Now, of course, Gannon on here last week tells us he's going to win 10 this year.
It's not going to happen.
Okay.
That's not going to happen.
Well, because if
I
you're going to
voted
come
no.
in,
You guys
if
put
you're
the
going to
poll
come
up, I
in,
put no.
yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. But again, yeah, if you're going to take a few wins, then that makes it even harder for him to get it. So, well, I'm going to open it up to anybody else on the show. I mean, like, thanks for answering these questions. There's always so many more things we're interested in probing into, but like Matt, Ben, Nick, like what else?
I can I'll go at it from the player's perspective of what is your off season? I know you're switching sponsors and everything like that, but what does your off season normally look like when it comes to practicing? Are you weight training? Are you just going out and getting reps out of course, field work? Tell us about how the 2-time world champ is practicing in the off season to become a 3-time.
Ian, tell us why you're throwing discs in a snowy winter road course.
Hey, nobody was on the road.
All right.
It's empty.
There you go.
Yeah, so for me, I do a lot of field work and a lot of putting. So I got a basket at the house. Just going to be putting from 25, 30 feet all remaining month and a half. Tour's almost started, so about a month left.
Yeah.
And then doing field work, so going out to a field when the sun's out, when it's warm. I'll be doing that. I do train with Alden and Ezra a good bit. We'll play at least once a week. And then as far as weight training goes, I've been doing some, I guess it's not CrossFit, but it's like a boot camp. So it's kind of cardio, legs, arms, different workouts like that. So that's been good. I'm going to be toning that down because I don't want to be sore for practicing. So I'm going to turn it into more running and body weight. So push-ups, sit-ups, squats, stuff like that. But yeah, that's pretty much what it looks like for me.
What do you feel like, I would say kind of in your game, are you working on in the off season? What were you telling yourself? This is something I have to improve on.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the forehand, I felt like my forehand game was the best it's ever been last year. And so the off season, it really kind of takes a toll since you're not doing that week in and week out. So I really want to get my forehand to where it was last year, and then if I can do it a little better, and just get more consistent off the tee, and try to put on a little more distance because I can get probably 300 accurately, but I would love to have 350, 400 in the tank on the forehand.
That makes sense. Ben, Matt, anyone? I can kind of keep casually going.
Yeah, I have a question. We talked about how you have a lineup now. What discs are you really liking right now and kind of thinking will be staples in your bag? I know you just released a Royal or Rive, I believe it was. So is that something that you're actively loving, or is there just give us a few latitude molds that you're really liking for the fans?
Yeah, the Rive has just been phenomenal. It's nice to have a driver that you can just go off the shelf and pick up the exact same one, which unfortunately wasn't the case with Prodigy. I threw a lot of the old D1s that you had to kind of dig for and pay $50-$60 for. So it's just great having a driver that you can just go pick up off the shelf. So the Rive is one of my favorites. The Glory. I've never had an overstable fairway driver, an overstable 7-speed. So that has just been so fun. I've worked one in to where you get a little turn out of it. You can just shape these awesome shots. And then also the Cenis is very, very good. Yeah, it's their overstable, I guess it's
OG
putter.
disc. Yeah.
Yeah, older.
Yeah. So they retooled it, made a new one, and actually got my first ace with it a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
so or first ace.
We got a video of it?
Not.
Yeah.
Not
it's like that'd be crazy first ace.
I feel like I've seen that disc.
No video.
It looks like maybe it was spelled like sinus or something. I don't remember.
I used to use
the Cenis. Yeah.
Okay.
Dave Felberg was a huge Sinus guy. I think that was his like
Sinus.
Blackie putter that he
What
would
does
always
that
talk
mean?
about. Yeah.
How do you spell that?
Sinus.
S-I-N-U-S.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's
Why
how
you
I
thought
said it.
Yeah.
That's weird. Definition. Let me see here. Definitions. Sweden, right? Sweden.
Yes.
Sinus
Swedish.
definition.
Swedenplast.
Sweden. The sweetest word for sinus. Well, now this is changing, but I don't know how to pronounce it. But it's like bihala. A sinus is a space or channel in the body. We get that. The word comes from the Latin word sinus, which means bend, fold, or curve. Oh, maybe it's the curve.
There you go.
Maybe.
There you go.
Sinus, though.
Oh,
Sinus.
because it's overstable.
Sinus.
It makes sense. No, it makes sense. The it's
that checks
going.
out.
Bends,
That
folds,
checks
and
out.
curves.
So
I love
really
it.
quick, while we're talking about kind of like bending and curving, I was playing around with Paul and
Are
Kevin
we?
Kiefer recently. Yeah, sort of, kind of. And why do we call it the S curve? And in retrospect, it is the opposite of an S curve when a disc is flying. That is not how I write an S, right?
It's
It's
how
still
the
a-
catch cam sees it, though.
Oh, Matt, that's a really good point.
That makes
Well,
sense.
Dude, Matt, that's a wicked good point. Is that
That's what I
actually
was
though?
thinking too.
No,
the
it's
guy.
not.
Problem solved.
No, it's the same way either way, right? We're going crazy.
Yeah. Wait, hold on.
I'm sitting here drawing with my finger like in the air.
Because like as a righty, I mean, I guess
no matter.
as a lefty,
That's funny.
as a lefty, I guess they can call it an S curve because to them it's a little bit more natural, right? Or a righty forehand, that would be the S curve. But as a righty backhand player, we always talk about the huge S curve. That's not how I write an S. It's not how AB throws 750 feet.
Well, what
That's
would you call it,
backward S.
Nick? Let's invent it right now.
I
What
don't
would you
know.
call
I
it
forget
for
what
S?
Paul said. I feel like Paul said something, but I don't know. I
Yeah,
forget.
that does look weird when you draw it.
What about a right?
I'm like playing it
We're
out
gonna
in my
call it
head
the
now.
Cardi B turn.
What if you a forehand S? It's not an S either. Righty forehand. Yeah, we're all like
No,
doing our
it
hands.
is.
Like, right.
I don't know.
I guess if you do
This
like a
is
righty
weird. A
forehand
lefty.
max shot like a lefty backhand.
Nope, that was
Josh is too exposed.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's funny. That's a good
Yeah,
question.
it's
Why
not
do we have
gonna
half the
That
terms
is
we
a-
do? There's a book on it, I think.
Anyways, I'll wait for Paul's text back on that. But yeah, just figured out as a two-time champ because anyways, actually this is kind of, segue, two-time champ, whatever. All right, so back-to-back world champion, right? In the kind of new age of disc golf, 2023, 2024. And what we're seeing recently is the resurgence of the 12-time champ. We're seeing Kenny Climo kind of really get his feet back into disc golf. A lot of people in the post-COVID kind of boom of disc golf know of Ken's name, but don't really know the legacy that he left behind in the sport. And you were talking about how you've been touring for about 3 years consistently now. And when you said that, and I was like, damn, 2 back-to-back world titles after like 3 solid years of touring, I was like, that's anyone's dream. But what does this kind of mean for you? And do you take that kind of like generational, like you're the new generation, right? You're the most recent world champion. But then you have Paul, who's, the 6th time, still recent, 2022, not generational yet. But then you have Kenny, who really is the generational talent that was before you. How does that feel for you, kind of someone who is at the top of the sport and seeing the OGs kind of come back into it?
It's really cool. I never got to watch Kenny play. I've gone back and watched old coverage, of course, but when I started watching, I was watching Paul, I was watching Rick. So it's really cool to see somebody that I've watched in old videos come back and kind of build this brand that I think is going to do really well. I'm very excited to see kind of what he does with that. And I remember the first time I met Ken, I think 2 years ago at the USDGC, and I just had to get a picture with him. And it's just so cool to see a guy who, you've kind of hear rumors about, you kind of hear just like how good he was, and now he's fully back doing doing some commentary, and then also doing whatever the Ken Climo disc brand is. It's definitely, I've been interested ever since I heard he was leaving Innova, and I just can't wait to see what's next.
Yeah, I think we're going to get to talk to him in a few days. That'll be pretty cool. We'll be able to figure that out. You think I'd remember it if I did. So I'm saying I've never met him. And so I'll be doing it virtually. That'll be good. Good
That's cool.
conversation, I'm sure. Man, what do we have to look forward to this year? Is there anything in your contract that talks about like how many events you have to play? Do you feel pressure this year to like show your value with your new contract? I know you just mentioned like Worlds might get a little easier in a mindset way, like pressure because you've done it twice. But as far as just like, hey, there's requirements that are different than previous years and you want to make sure you get them all right. Is there anything like that?
No, as far as requirements, I'm still required to play at least 15 events, which I'll be doing way more than that this year. I think the only pressure that I'm really facing is, if you go out and have a bad first couple tournaments, people are going to start talking. They're going to be like, "Oh, well, he played better with Prodigy, and they shouldn't pay him this much." All this stuff,
Yeah.
and so I think there's a lot of pressure. On myself to perform well, but also it's a pressure that I'm not really worried about because I've been through this before. 2 years ago, Prodigy gave me a pretty significant raise. In 2023 or 2020, yeah, 2023 gave me a big raise, and then I went out and I felt so terrible because I started the season missing the cut, and I was just like, oh, they, wasting all their money, all their efforts. And 2023 turned out to be just a fantastic year. So I know how to handle the pressure. I know it's going to be there, but also it's not new, and I know how to handle it. So
I
it
think
happens.
that's good to hear. I think I might have asked this to you our first interview ever with you, and I think it was around different wins. Your brother was playing well, you were playing well. I said which would use the better brother, and every time you have an answer for me. Going into this season, I think last season we interviewed you. You said he's scary. He's scary. Do you feel that way with new plastic? You both have it. Is it equal ground? Do you feel like? Let's see who's the better brother, or what's your mindset?
This year's gonna be really fun because I think we're really gonna see who the better player is.
Okay.
Before we had the same plastic and we were throwing virtually the same thing. But now we're throwing the completely different molds, completely different discs. And so I think we're really going to see who adapted better and who adapted quicker and who really has the better company. Who's throwing the discs better. So I think I'm very excited. I think we're going to do a lot of stuff together, just competition wise. And I think, somebody asked me if I was sad we're not on the same team. And I told them, I said, no, I think the competition is just getting better. It's just getting more fun. So I'm very excited to be on different teams, to be representing different brands, and just see what happens this year.
Cool. Were you like I don't know what the right word is nowadays. I would say cahoots. Do you know what your brother was doing in the off season? Were you both kind of talking about it privately amongst yourselves?
Oh yeah, I mean, we were living together by the time he got this massive Discraft box. So it wasn't really it wasn't
It
really
wasn't a
is
secret.
yeah, I was like, oh, that's
Who's that?
yeah, where are you going?
Not Discraft.
No.
I would have just assumed you guys troll so much that it would have been an elaborate like trolling scheme even with each other, But
Very expensive
Yeah.
troll.
yeah, well,
Yes.
Gannon said on our show last week, which you answered the poll question we put up, but he also said on our show that it's possible, and maybe it's weird to talk about your brother, maybe it's not, but he said Ezra, maybe the better like player at doing things like Simon does, like saying, I'm going to hit the basket, I'm going to throw it in, trick shot, kind of like I'm going to do this watch, and he does it. Gannon
Oh, yeah.
said it's possible that Ezra's even better than Simon. Like, what's your feeling on like the ability to see that shot and execute it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how many takes it takes Simon to do things. I know some of Simon's trick shots are just ridiculous. I don't know how it's possible to do that. Ezra is really good at calling aces, calling shots. Something I can't do. He'll just pull out a putter and he'll be like, "Hey, I'm just gonna ace this," and then he does, or he hits the basket, or So it's been crazy to watch that growing up. And a trick shot video with him and Simon would be very fun. I think they would both have a blast.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was thinking last week after I heard that. I was
Yeah.
like, man, we got to make that happen.
Yeah, right.
See who's actually better. That'll be fun. Just
Who's better?
who does it first.
Yeah, it's on that video. If it happens first, we know who's better. That's for sure. Yeah, so I mean, it's pretty cool, man. I'm thinking, you must feel, and tell me, tell me, we congratulated you for your new marriage, the wedding and all that, and now you've got this new contract. Just as like a personal question, do you feel like this is like a fresh moment in life where you're like a lot of new things? Like, what is that feeling like? I mean, what else are you navigating new right now? Like, I'm sure there's a lot.
Yeah, it's crazy. It just feels, honestly, it feels like 2025 is going to be the best year ever. Just having my wife on the road with me, throwing a new company, working with a new company, dropping, all this new stuff. I just couldn't be more excited. I'm absolutely thrilled, and just cannot wait. I'm itching for the season to start. I just can't wait to get going.
Is it out of place for me to ask you a little bit about your wife? And I'm not going to pry too much, but like, does she come from a background where like touring would be like a very normal thing, or is this a very big change for her?
So it's actually very, very funny because her family was in it wasn't a band, but it was like a singing group, I guess, that traveled the States. So her dad and her uncles and their whole family just had this giant bus, and they would travel singing in churches and doing events for, different things. And
Wow.
it was so it was funny when she was telling me that. I was like, oh my, I think she's the one. Because I mean, how many other girls are you gonna find?
Wait, so is her family?
Like
is she a part of the Gaithers? Is that what I'm hearing? Like,
no, no,
the most famous gospel singing group ever.
Not quite.
Okay. But still, that's extremely cool. Yeah. So I mean, I didn't know where that would go. If it's like, nope, this is totally new. I don't know if she'll make it, but
No,
it sounds to
she's
me
actually she has probably done it more than me, actually. So
Wow,
which is really funny.
Wow. So she's ready. She's ready.
Yeah.
And, like,
She's ready to go.
So she's as excited about these new fresh things.
She is. She is.
Awesome.
We booked all the Airbnbs last night, or a good
Oh,
chunk
wow.
of them, and we were just laughing and having fun doing
I was
that,
just
so.
gonna say, to me, and
That's some
I've
damn good planning.
been married almost 17
Yeah,
years, and
hey.
I'm thinking how fun that was. Yeah. Well,
Yep.
and that's true. And I don't know if she brings that out in you, or maybe you already were the planner. Do you think that this was a different like way you would have handled it before this year? Like, would you have done it pre-planned?
Somewhat. I would just pass it off to Gavin.
Oh.
Gavin would do it for us. He was the dad of the group.
Okay.
Nice.
But yeah, now that I'm married, I gotta be like, honey, I got this. I got this. Don't worry. I'll get
Big
the
dog.
Airbnbs.
Always say that. Yeah. No matter what, I got this. Yeah, no, that's cool, man. I'm glad I'm excited for you. Really excited for you as well. We've said that a million times tonight, but it's genuine. So what's the best way now? It sounds like you get direct sales or whatever, some sort of from the purchases people are doing for your discs. That's interesting. And I'm sure there's a lot of other deals like that, but you're going to see,
I think most deals are, actually.
Yeah. Is it like a monthly thing?
I think it's a quarterly. So, yeah, I don't know how much detail I can give about that.
That's
but
okay.
It'll be, royalties paid out quarterly.
Yeah, but that's okay. But so like at the end of the quarter, I'm just playing it out, gaming it out. You get a check and you're like, oh, that's good, but not good enough. I need to sell more discs because it, in some ways they're going to be marketing, but it also rises and falls with you. If you know what I mean? So that's interesting. Yeah, that's good. Good incentive.
Yeah.
Can I ask kind of a personal question that you may not be able to ask or answer whatsoever, but when you were working with an agent, Blake, who we all think is an incredible guy, we've had the pleasure of meeting him, hanging out with him. I think he's an awesome dude. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, perfect.
Awesome,
do my taxes
awesome
too.
guy.
Yeah.
There you go.
So we have something in common.
Yeah. What goes into the decision of making parts of your contract maybe public versus parts of it just not public whatsoever? Like, does that fall more on you and Blake's side or Latitude's side, or I'm going to kind of put it out here like this, where if you feel good about the contract, why wouldn't you want to showcase it and kind of be that slow pioneer up? Like, I don't know. Can I look up your exact numbers to your contract? I'm not really sure, but
Someone
kind of like
leaked
what goes
something. I don't know if it's right.
That's the thing. It's like
I,
everyone,
I've yeah.
like look at Ulti Worlds had to make a correction because instead of Climo making 200 a year, it was 200 over 3, whatever it was. But
Okay. Yeah.
anyway, so like what goes into that whole process of
hmm
not public or publicized?
At the end of the day, it really is Latitude, or really House of Discs, I guess,
Yeah.
who can make that decision public. But from the get go, I was like, guys, I would love to make this public, just because I think it's fun. Like I want to know what people are getting paid. As a
Yeah.
fan of the sport growing up, I was like, I want to know what these people are getting paid. And so even if it's not a deal that is like, whoa, he's making $1 million a year, it's still like cool. And I think it helps fans kind of connect and be like, oh, well, I know how much this person's making. And so my deal was good enough to where I was like, yeah, I would like to make the details public. And Latitude was okay with that. Um, Obviously, not all the details, but the base pay and then the royalty stuff is public information. So um, yeah, it was up to them, and they said yes, which I was more than happy to do
Very
that.
cool.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So, but mainly, so I guess also you're now kind of working with House of Discs. How has that
Mhm.
been just in general? I mean, I know like Seth Fenley is the operations manager on the North America
Yeah.
side of things for Latitude. He's a great guy.
Mhm.
I think he's a wonderful dude. How's that been going from Prodigy to, let's say, House of Discs, the big venture capitalists in our sport?
Mhm. Yeah, the biggest change is just I guess, the professionalism of it. Prodigy was run, by 2 or 3 people, that I had to email, you know I had direct communication with the owners at all times, to where I was, emailing them, asking them questions and stuff. With Latitude and House of Discs, that's a little different. You kind of have a chain of command. You kind of have the people responsible for your section, and so um, even just the way the contract is written is a lot more professional. The way things are run are more professional. It's more of you feel like you're in a big company, because you are. And Prodigy was much more kind of a smaller, felt like a family-owned kind of business where everything was a little more informal, and maybe not run as black and white,
Mhm.
as House of Discs is. So that's been a little bit of a change, but I actually really like it. I think that's exactly what is good for the sport, and I think as a player, you don't necessarily need to be talking to the owner of the company, you know, on a weekly basis. It's more of a need to know, need to talk to basis.
Gotcha. And how is their
Yeah.
kind of, I mean, attitude? I mean, they just signed the 2-time world champ, back-to-back world champ, right? They must be
Mhm.
ecstatic over there, and they haven't really, you know, had that key MPO player since the Ricky
Mhm.
Wysocki days back in the 2016,
Mhm.
2017 era. They've had Kristen the last 4 years, who's been just dominant in her own respected field, but now they finally have that MPO player again. I'm sure they're kind of ecstatic just the same way you are, right?
Oh, it was fun. Yeah, I flew out to Sweden and visited the factory, and it was just everybody was so excited. All of I got to talk to people who made my rives, and they were just so excited. Got a picture with everybody, and it was just so fun. They were excited. I was excited, which just really made me feel at home, going into this season. Just going over there and meeting all of the workers and all of the people who run, the website and the marketing and the logistics and all that stuff. It was just a great experience overall.
Nice.
Well, we've asked you a lot, and we could just keep talking and talking disc golf, but I kind of feel like we've made it to the end for your time. And I don't know your wife's waiting for you or not, but you're you're still in this
Yeah.
phase of like awesome like hangout time, planning the season and all that. But is there anything else that people can do to support you besides buying that Rive now, or is that like the best way and you just want to focus on your play?
Yeah, I think they're actually sold out now. I think it was a limited batch, but I have more signature series coming this year. We've got a whole bunch planned for that, so be on the lookout for that. And yeah, just new things dropping. A lot of new things dropping this year. So
That's actually a good question the chat just had. Are you able to like throw other trilogy discs as in dynamic disc or West Side or okay, so you're anything.
I can,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
So they want me to throw mostly Latitude,
Of
and
course.
I will be throwing mostly Latitude, but there's definitely going to be a Felon in the bag. There's definitely going to be a harp, an
That makes
anvil,
sense. Yeah.
things like that, where Latitude doesn't quite have a slot for yet. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for your time, dude. We appreciate you always being so professional and getting back to us and jumping on. And we know you do a lot of other
course.
interviews and all that, so we appreciate you for taking time for ours.
Thank you guys. Always a pleasure.
All
Take
right.
it easy, man.
Thank you.
Peace
Isaac.
out, man.
Bye.
Isaac Robinson. Man, these players know
Flag.
it, and they decide whether it's worth it to them or not. But they come on to these podcasts. He's done a whole handful of them. We appreciate him coming on here for sure. And we appreciate Paul. I'm not going to say he only exclusively chooses ours, but man, I feel like even though it's been a year, you don't see him on a lot of podcasts. We appreciate Paul coming on as well. It's always a privilege and honor. Man, there is a lot going on in disc golf. Rumors galore. But the main one trending right now, and we don't talk rumors for the sake of spreading rumors, but I've always said where there's smoke, there's fire. So I think there's worth giving a little bit of time to this one. Ricky, I'm going to say if I was a betting person, Ricky's not with DD at the end of like the week.
Ooh.
That's kind of my take here. I feel like
I'm genuinely curious. Where are we seeing these rumors? Because like I've actually heard nothing about Ricky except from talking with people. I haven't like seen. Maybe I'm just not that involved on the social media side of things anymore.
it's all
But I
over
feel like I'm
social
not-
media. It's all
Really?
over social media.
Do I need to be on Reddit more?
Facebook, YouTube, it's
Yeah.
everywhere. People are saying he's going, and they're looking at discs that has in the backgrounds of his pictures strategically stashed, and people are saying, is it Discraft? Is it something else? People are all over. I think it's going to happen. So my take is it's happening. And also, I'm just going to add to that Kona before the end of the week as well.
I did see, come to think of it, I did see the disc, that orange disc that he had on like his countertop when he took a picture or whatever. I did see that thread. Yeah. And someone said it was a swarm from what tournament? I don't know. I don't remember which one.
Anyways, that's my take.
means
Whether it's a
nothing.
rumor, I'm just now saying based off of the rumors, I think there's enough smoke. I'm going to
You know
say
what?
it's happening.
So this is, unless anybody here is actually saying they have more information, if you're only going off of what you see scrolling the internet, my speculation, and it's purely what it is, so it's right in the same bucket as all the other internet speculation, but I wouldn't be surprised if all the pressures we're hearing are creating active conversations between Didi and Ricky. But this is my opinion, it's way more probable that they would restructure a deal with Ricky than we would never hear about that unless it leaks. Like is Ricky going to leave Dynamic Discs and get an equivalent deal that's better than a potential restructured deal with DD with another manufacturer? Like,
Maybe
I don't
not.
think so.
If I'm
It's also
Ricky,
very possible-
I'm pretty mad that my contract is voided now, or like.
Well, no,
they
it
did-
depends what's in the contract,
of course
right,
you're gonna
Ben?
be pissed, but at the
It depends
same
what's
time,
in the
That's what I'm
contract.
saying. Why would
Yeah.
you go back?
I'm not saying
if-
somebody's
like I'm not going
breaking
to pay you $1 million anymore after promising you. Then it's like, okay.
No, well, you're saying the word promise, but you never saw the contract. I'm talking about if they have options. Like these companies' contracts are pretty complex. At least they should be.
Yeah.
Maybe
right.
part of that, Ben, you could say it to where like part of that $1 million was within 2 years you have to win a world championship, right? Like there could be stipulations,
Just
there
as
could be
an
things like
example,
that.
right.
Just as an example. But no, don't get me wrong. I think a lot of big companies are feeling, kind of this post-COVID boom, whatever. People are restructuring. We've talked about
Tattoo.
Innova restructuring. Prodigy's been restructuring in a sense. We are feeling the heat from it. I think there are a good amount of players who are re-signing with their current manufacturer, but for a decent amount less than what they were getting the year prior. And I think that's just kind of the name of the game. Realistically, and we've talked about this the last few weeks, is who are the players bringing the ROI for companies, right? Who are those players right now? I don't think Ricky's bringing $1 million back for DD every single year. Like they need to make $1,000,001 to
But let me
justify that
ask you
contract,
this.
right?
Let me ask you this. Just like Climo did, now it's a whole different story altogether, but work with me. Just like Climo did, if Discraft was the swoop in to have everybody, and they said, hey, we actually would like Ricky, we'll pay you, we'll take care of your contract, whatever it is, I'm going all out here. And they did that, would Ricky sell discs with Discraft? Just as a hypothetical, would he sell more discs with Discraft than DD, and why would that be the case?
At the beginning, yes.
Okay.
I think same thing with the Climo stuff.
Okay.
Like Innova could have made this whole Climo thing, right? Climo disc golf. They could have done all these things, but
I don't think
it was kind of
it would not.
It wouldn't have worked. That's what I mean. It wouldn't have worked.
Okay.
But bringing it over to Discraft, that's just this huge resurgence of it. Discraft's going to market it incredibly well. You know, the quality of the plastic is going to be good. All these different things, and kind of revitalizes Ken Climo 100% in our sport, which is awesome. And then same thing to where, you know, every single time a player moves companies, you feel like they're going to sell more discs, right? Especially those first year or two. Like players, like if Calvin went to DD, right, and got his name on 4 discs, Calvin would sell a ton of DD discs that first year. But then after that, it might dwindle down a little bit. But then you do have their players who are going to consistently sell year after year. Your Simons, your Eagles, your Pauls, who I think are well above everyone else kind of in the disc golf world of who's actually really moving plastic. I think those 3 are, especially Simon and Paul. I think I'll just say those 2 are very, very, very far above a lot of other people. Most everyone, I would say. Everyone.
I don't have the facts to disagree with you, but my gut tells me that it's not Ricky that would be the issue with selling discs. I agree with you, like on the initial change, it would. I get that part of it, but I feel like DD's a part of this here. Whether it's their plastic or their brand maybe not being exactly what it always has been. He signed before their brand started taking a different turn with House of Discs. All of that. It's very possible that just the popularity of those discs in general, people aren't interested in. That's why I was saying, like, if he was with Discraft, or let's say he went back to Innova, which would be pretty crazy or cool. Let's say he doesn't go anywhere, but I'm hypothetically, I feel like he has a better chance with popular discs to sell discs because he's a popular player. So,
well, I think
you know, what I'm getting at with this is it's very possible that he wants out. And that's where this is coming from. Like, he wants out. And is it possible that if he wants out, he would be willing to take a cut? I know it's a lot of money. I'm going open bag this year, or I'm just going to take a cut. I'm going to sign with someone else for 1 year or 2 years. And he's probably a decent investor. I mean, the way he likes to, it seems like, doing things like crypto. I mean,
that Bitcoin, that Bitcoin 250,000. If he held on to it, it would have doubled. It would have doubled, and maybe.
I'm just talking this out. So that's all. I'm just talking it out, but I do feel like it's going to happen. I feel like there's enough here. I have heard some other things that are not official, but where I'm going, man, there's enough smoke here. And every year I've done that. I had to come up with that. It's not saying I came up with, but I had to come up with, Matt, just kind of believe it when you see it. Like, you see smoke, you know there's fire. So I think it's happening.
I would say I think there's smoke, and so something's happening. I just don't know if that means he's gone.
I think, Matt, to your point, I think you're 100% correct on it. I am curious, kind of like throwing this over to the chat right now, is what kind of is the stigma behind DD? Like, why don't they have as much popularity as the other big brands, right?
Their brand changed when they starting leading into House of Disc. Before that, they were already on their way, like kind of changing their brand, whether it was intentional or not. They started out, and I'll bring up the people, Bobby Cool Daddy, Slick Breeze. I mean, he was like he was a pretty big driving force in the public perception of DD. Pretty big. Yeah. You got Eric McCabe. Yeah. You have all these people that were very grassroots with Jeremy Rusko, kind of. And I haven't been there. I haven't interviewed them, but I've listened to a lot of these interviews. They built this brand, and it was something different than a lot of other disc golf companies were doing at that time. The media was very forward.
They had really good media.
Yes. Slowly but surely, they started growing. They probably strategized a little differently, maybe not realizing the direction exactly what it would result, but they were willing to take the risk. It probably paid off for some people, like probably really did. Then House of Disc comes in. The brand slowly changed over the last 5 years, 6 years. I think that's part of it. It's not the same as when Ricky signed. That's all I'm saying. I think that's a big part of it.
Here's why I think it is, personally. It's brand separation. I don't think Trilogy being Trilogy is personally smart. I think they should be separated.
Just all branch off at this point.
Well, to be clear,
Yeah,
Ben, there's no such thing as trilogy.
Well,
but to your point, the fact that there is the term trilogy means
that's what I'm saying. And I think that's their downfall. I mean, have it be made by Latitude or whatever, like that doesn't matter. But I'm just saying, if they had brand separation and really each brand dug into their own and kind of like, and no one thought about it as Trilogy, I think that would have helped a lot too. I mean, you see all these other brands that are kind of separate themselves and that are unique. You think of Dynamic Disc, you think like, oh, like just Latitude plastic, that like Latitude's leftovers. I don't really know. But because obviously that's just me personally. I think they didn't do a good job at separation. I think that would have been important for them. I mean, look at Luxottica, owns all the sunglasses in the world, basically. It owns Oakley, like all these, like they wouldn't make sense to put it all under like Oakley glasses and Ray-Ban. They know to separate it, and no one knows that Luxottica owns like 90% of the sunglasses world, and I think that helps their marketing.
What's with you and sunglasses, Ben?
I know, that's literally what I thought too.
A little inside joke there, but
yes, but
I know what you're saying, Ben, but I'm trying to sit here and think, are you an actual like kind of gauge on that the market really views it that way, or you not have the right perspective? Because I actually think their stuff has been separated a lot. Like to Matt's point, Trilogy is not a thing.
Yeah.
Now it is a thing. Actually, I should
That's
say
what
that,
I'm
but
saying.
It's not.
It is a thing.
Like you're saying stuff on this show tonight that I'm like, I've unless lots of people have that viewpoint. That's not how I see it. Dynamic.
Go to Disc Golf Pro Shops. It's under Trilogy sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Where Disc Golf Pro.
That's because they decided to put it that way. The companies are not doing.
But
that.
I'm just saying I'm just saying.
Ben's point is it's happening. The
that,
brand didn't do enough to separate itself to where people feel like they can just lump them all together. And if I am a brand, to Ben's point, I don't want that. Like I don't want to be lumped in if I have my own brand with 2 or 3 others or 4 others.
Yeah, and I would say when you look at the companies, when's the last time they did that?
No, but I'm saying, how did that happen? Right? They should have, to Ben's point, tried to separate themselves
early on in their history. I think there was
like, no, we're not Trilogy, and I think they might have, but maybe not enough. But I don't know. Again, I say that take, and I could be wrong because I don't have it for sure that this is happening. I do have enough information to feel like there will be something happening. But at the end, Josh, you might be fully right, and we get into the season and nothing happened with Rick. I'm going to say Josh's take was right, and you'll say, well, of course you are. But I'm going to say something was happening. Something was happening.
I'm saying something's happening. I think it's most likely that some version of the deal is restructured.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I just think there's too much fallout for a lot of people if he leaves, unless somebody's going to pay him $1 million somewhere. And what I'm saying is that's not going to happen.
What's left in his contract? A year? He was a 4-year contract?
I think it was 2
years.
Was
it 4 or 5 year?
It was 4. It was 4.
He was 4 year. Yeah, wasn't it like
close to being done?
Because I feel like that matters. Because if there's like a year left, I mean that's a lot, but it's still. I mean, anyways, who knows?
I think at that point, yeah. I mean, the Reddit thread with the old marketing manager, the guy from DD, the old employee, the Reddit thread in that was pretty gnarly on just some of the questions that he was answering and some of the answers that you would read from it. One of the biggest ones was talking about Ricky Ancona's ROI. Are they worth their contracts? And he just pretty much said no and no. They were both not worth their contracts that they were getting paid right now. And I think that's huge. And at that point, I mean, yeah.
In Ricky's deal announcement, January 4th, 2022.
Yeah.
This is to Ben's point. Even in his post, I'm so pumped to have made my way back to the Trilogy family. That's literally in his big announcement post on January 2022. Yeah. So that he's only been in it for 22,
22, 23, 24.
23.
This is
is
going
his
on
last
his
year.
fourth
His
year.
last
This
year.
is his
so there
last
would be
year.
one more year.
Okay, so this
Let's
was
say it
his
was worth
last-
200,000 actual salary. Either someone buys it or he leaves it on the table and says, "I'm done. I made my money with the crypto or the whatever, the Bitcoin."
Yeah.
And he goes, "I made it up there," which I don't know. Did he? I've been seeing things about that. I think he's made it.
If he didn't sell, they got it at around 40,000. Bitcoin has gone up to 108,000
They're like 95
in
right
December. So if
What is
obviously
that now?
now it's like at like 91,000. So that's
Yeah.
still at least double, a
94.7,
little
right?
some.
Yeah, so he'd lose
But-
money. But my point is like it could is
No, he
there's a world
made
this
money.
happens.
No,
No,
he
but
would
I mean
make
if he
money,
left
right?
the deal. If he left the deal.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I was like, if he sold the
yeah.
Bitcoin now, no, he would have made
I don't know.
500 at
I
least.
don't know, but we'll stay.
just-
We
on-
do.
unless somebody's-
We are not financial advisors. Please do not take our advice. I don't know. I feel like everyone always writes or posts that, so I'm just saying we are not financial
I know.
advisors.
All the financial gurus
yeah,
say
Dave,
that.
Unless
Dave
somebody's-
Portnoy's always like. Sorry,
Unless
go ahead.
somebody's actually, and I say somebody, I don't really mean a company, right? Going to offer Ricky a financial deal that's at least as good or better. Why, would he leave early?
Okay, so let's talk
I
about
think-
Gannon Burr for a second. What happened with Prodigy? What
He
caused
was getting
him to wanna leave
offered.
early?
He was getting offered way better deals. That's why he's like, I'm out of here. Someone else is going to pay me a lot more money than Prodigy was paying him that year.
Yeah, I guess you're right on that, but
I think it was all money. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
if I'm
Well,
making
to be
10,000
fair-
now, if someone's going to pay me 100,000, I'm
to
out.
be fair, remember all the craziness of emails leaked and all that stuff for back and forth? He was not happy with the plastic. Like he was
No, I
straight up
agree.
like, I do not like the plastic. Enough to where he was fielding conversations with other companies. Now,
I think that's
the
all
money's
part
probably
of
the
it.
drive. Yeah, yeah.
I think that's all part of it, but I also think it's easy to say I'm not happy with the plastic when you think you're going to get $100,000 more somewhere else.
Somewhere else. Yeah.
So,
The plastic.
so-
Look, the plastic
I
is
think
good
that was
enough to
real
reign.
feedback.
Isaac's got
what if you
3
saw?
majors in the last 2 years? Gannon's got how many wins and how many majors when he was with Prodigy? Yeah, the plastic may be lesser than some of the other companies that are out there, but at the same time, the players are still throwing it extremely well.
What?
So
Okay, well, let me ask this scenario. I could probably come up with them all night. Maybe they're dumb. But what if you saw the writing on the wall? So bankruptcy talks been rumored. We kind of all agree that's not happening. But if you don't feel like the future of the brand you're at is where you want to be, I guess you try to ride it out. But I still go back to the Gannon Burr thing. I think he was kind of like, I don't want to be here. Would he leave, Josh, if he was being, you said you wouldn't see it any other way. He was being bought out on that contract. You would see for sure that happen.
If the money is going to work out, sure. Like if they're going to restructure,
What if he's going to
buy
lose
it out.
50,000? You say no for his happiness.
I
You know
I
what
don't know
mean?
I don't know the dollar amount for what's important to Ricky, but I'm saying it's got to be like somewhat comparable. Otherwise, you would say, look, and by the way, I said on here last week or whenever it was, like, I don't think they're going bankrupt from anything we're seeing. That's just all like fun conversation. So, but even if that were real, if you're Ricky and you're like, geez, they literally could go bankrupt in the middle of the year, you're better off restructuring a deal where you still get something out of it unless somebody else can pay you more. So let's say instead of getting $1 million, you're like, pay me 200,000. And are you upset about that? Of course you are. But if no one else is going to pay you 200,000, then you take it. Right? That's what and those numbers are completely made up. I'm just saying it's like, that's the situation. And by the way, it may not even be that tight. It may be more like, we're not happy with your disc sales, right? So we're going to restructure this deal and there's negotiation, there's frustration. And he's like, fine, I'll ride out the year. I'm just saying you end up, even if it sucks, even if he's not happy with the branding, not happy with whatever, unless you're going to get more and you can legally get out of the contract, then you finish it. It's just the way it goes. Just my take.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I mean, Ricky you would kind of think that he would want to stay with it. If they're going to pay him the amount of money that they're supposed to be paying him, he's going to stay at DD, right? He'll sacrifice that one more year to make that $1 million if that's actually what he's making. Like, you would think almost everyone would do that. And then the second that contract is over, see you later, he's going to field offers. And who knows, if he has a bad year, he might only get offers that are $100,000 to $200,000 a year. And this is where we talk about, what is Ricky actually worth? Is Ricky
he's worth at least of that.
So
we potentially know that he's not worth $1 million. So then he's now going to companies and saying, hey, here I am, this is what I'm worth, and then they're saying, no, you are way below that, right? Like, what is Ricky worth? 100,000, 200, 300, 400,
Okay,
I'd say at least 100.
Here's
for
another
sure.
conversation to kind of jump off that. It's going to tie into it if we wanted to, but I mentioned Kona Panis.
Mhm.
I feel like
Montgomery.
I don't have actual information, but again, there's enough swirling. And in fact, during this, a listener of our live show just sent me a message. It's a social media clip. It is what it is. So I don't have any reason to believe it, but it says like, hey, she signed last night, or like termination papers, like she's out. Now, again, I literally just a fan of the show just sent that to me. But that's just a clip from social media. But my point is, there's people usually when there's something, there's some essence of truth there. Usually, I still feel like that's going to happen. But if you look at when she signed her deal, that was back in 2022, the same year as Ricky, right? Same, like just a week before.
Yeah, big old helicopter
So
reveal.
here's my question. To your point to Ben earlier, there are things in contracts that are very technical, and maybe Kona would be leaving for a different reason. Maybe she's not upholding her end of the contract, or they're able to renegotiate and let her go, or whatever it is, if this actually happens. But Josh, why would you feel differently if this is true and Kona leaves? Like, why wouldn't Ricky? Like, I guess it's all very specific to each person.
I think a totally different situation.
Yeah.
I think literally, again, this is the point, is maybe there's a lot of financial pressure. So let's make up this scenario. There's a lot of financial pressure for dynamic discs, which that's probably real. Like, I think we're hearing that and know that.
Oh,
1,000%.
yeah.
Right. And so I'm suggesting that there are enough exceptions, clauses, whatever you want, in contracts that are allowing them to go back and have conversations with their players, right? Especially the ones that maybe are not financially viable for them. And they're having those conversations. And the conversation with Kona and Ricky are two different conversations.
Well, let me ask. Maybe Ricky's not meeting his contract. To Nick's point, maybe the discs aren't selling and he's supposed to sell a certain amount.
Well, exactly. That's why I said they're going back and renegotiating.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They could go and be like, Ricky, this is not working.
But could Ricky
we're
turn
willing
down
to-"
that contract?
Oh, probably. But I'm saying he can't go get something better somewhere else.
You don't think so?
No, like what if it's $1 million
Better than $1 million?
now? No. What if it's
No,
$1
it'd be
million now
1 year
and they
left.
say, and what they say, we got to renegotiate because things aren't working.
The final
we're
year.
we're gonna pay you only $300,000 this year because of XYZ reasons, and our contract allows us to say that to you. You can walk away from the contract and we terminate, right? But if Ricky's sitting there thinking like, but I can't get that offer anywhere else this year, then you take it. That's what I'm saying. In Kona, similarly,
Yeah.
except that
Hypothetically,
the
yeah,
story's
if he's
totally different,
Going,
right? Didi may literally be like, it's just not happening for us, or, or whatever. And that could be a totally different scenario.
Yeah.
Well, so
think,
let me
you know,
pose that one more time. They might say with Ricky, I think it's further fetched, but they might say with Ricky, it's just not working, Ricky. And that's maybe what we're hearing about.
well, here.
Yes, and that's just where I'm saying that's my opinion. That wouldn't happen. It looks too bad for everybody to do that.
You would have to think that would have to be like a contractual thing.
Yeah,
Go
and
ahead,
that would just
Ben,
look
sorry.
horrible for DD. Like, I just think there's no way. I
Yes.
think they tried to come down as far as they can, but make it worth Rick staying. That's what I'm saying.
So,
And by the way,
only
maybe they're going to pay him his whole contract. To remind everybody, we're just speculating.
Yeah, we are speculating, but the only thing that I've seen, and this is like total speculation. This could mean nothing, but I don't know if you guys saw, he went live a few times, just like offloading his discs from Dynamic Disc. Now, obviously, like that's it could mean just like he's just doing it to make money at the end of the day for the fans, stuff like that. But I'm just saying that was kind of like could mean something more
He's
than
always
that.
been a
Ricky's
salesman
always
grinder.
hustled. Ricky's always hustled
he
when it
went
comes to selling his
live. He's
personal
never
stuff.
done that, I
Yeah.
don't
No,
think.
but like Ricky's, I mean, maybe it's just a new thing. Like everyone goes live to do Brixton cards, and
Well,
that could
that's
be
what
the
I'm
way
saying.
selling discs
Maybe
and stuff.
that's what I'm saying. It's not
Yeah.
something to really look into at all.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like that's one thing that
Rick-
I started noticing, and then once
Yeah.
I heard the news, I was like, "Oh, that might make sense."
Okay, one
I think,
other
or
thing.
you know what?
Or the
One
the,
other thing,
not
it's
the
not
news,
in his
the,
Instagram.
speculations.
It's not in his Instagram.
I did hear it got
It's
pulled
not
from his
on any of
handles.
his links.
That was some. Yeah.
There's
So
nothing.
much.
there-
No. Hold on.
there's
So
nothing.
much drama. First of all, there's debate on whether he ever had Didi listed in his actual profile.
Okay.
It
Someone
is
send the
in his
screenshots
link
to
tree.
the staggered
Dynamic
stance.
Discs is in his link tree right
I was
now.
just
on
about to say, does he have a
No,
link
and
tree?
I just
Yes.
clicked.
He just posted a video wearing
No,
a
it's in his
Dynamic
link tree.
Disc shirt.
His ex profile still shows Dynamic Discs.
If you
He
okay,
did just post a video.
I want to
wearing
say,
a
kind of
Dynamic
want
This
to
is fun,
shout out
though.
the
This is-
chatters
it's
right now
drama.
because I want to shout out everyone talking live in the chat. It's been popping tonight, which has been awesome. But Patrick Ficky, literally, we were talking about Ricky's worth, right? And he would say it's worth as much as a manufacturer is willing to market him and take advantage of his name by putting it on more discs and not at such a high price point, like a price point as the general that most pass on it. And this is something we talked about, especially when the generals first came out. After shipping to get one disc, it was like $42 just for one Ricky Wysocki, the orbital general or whatever it was, right? Like $42. That's freaking insane amount for just a single disc. That's not disc golf. And I think that's one thing Patrick is very, very right on is just marketing the player the right way. I mean, I don't see Kona marketed super, super well with dynamic discs, besides for her doing a lot of marketing for herself with dynamic discs. And then same thing with Ricky is you get the one disc, the general, and then the slammer. And then other than that, what else is Ricky a part of? Like you talk with Simon, he has the Simon line, and Simon's got discs that are coming out and they're constant. James Conrad's got the Trail that just came out and all these new discs. Paul McBeth has his line of discs. Now, I'm not saying every single player needs their own line of discs. And this is actually something that I was talking to one of my friends earlier with is a lot of players are going to start asking for their own line of discs, right? And there are so many players that are not worth their own line of discs, but some people make it work. Some people don't.
I will leave it at this, and I'm not softening my take. I'm adding to it a little bit. I think Rick, once out, he's not happy. Now, whether or not it actually happens, I still think it is going to happen. I made a hot take saying this week, by the end of the week, whatever that means to people, by next week, I should say, Monday or whatever, by the end of the week. But I think he wants out. I don't know why else this would all be coming around. There's something going on.
Yeah, but that would be in alignment with what I'm saying is, sure, he wants out, but he can't get something more elsewhere, so you renegotiate, and you're pretty pissed off about it, and you ride it out.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
I mean,
and that would create a lot of smoke.
You can scroll back in the chat, and people are saying, "Oh, Ricky back to Innova," and everyone's saying like, "Nah, he burned that bridge." Like Ricky kind of low key, he burned that bridge with Innova, and that's one of the things. Like Prodigy, did he burn that? I think if Will Schuschrik literally said, "Yeah, we're not signing Ricky," but then all of a sudden plays 4D chess and signs Ricky, I think that would actually be massive.
Well,
for Prodigy.
But also Gannon
would be massive.
Gannon last week. Did you notice that? Maybe his little Easter egg he dropped. He's like, Ricky's always changing sponsors. He said that last week.
He did say that.
So he was also a little bit slipping on Climo going to Discraft. He's like,
Yeah,
right?
that
Everybody
was so
knows, right?
funny.
Everybody. So like, there's very
Had it not
possibility.
been talked about,
It's very possible. He knows Ricky's going somewhere else. He says Ricky's always changing sponsors. We'll see.
Well, it would be fun if I'm wrong. It would be fun if I'm wrong because I made up lots of stuff on here because I have no idea if DD can renegotiate a contract. I'm just saying, to me, if I'm in the business world, that's
Makes sense.
the tact. That's the tact I'm taking because you don't want to sever ties, right? But if you're not making enough money, you have to find a way to make it work, and those are hard conversations. Which is why I think people would be pissed off and want to leave. But then when you look at the actual landscape, you're like, like, God, is there really a greener grass in 2025?
Mm-hmm.
Because like you hit that deal so high with DD that to me, it's just not likely you're going to find anything to supplement anything close this year. And he had a great year last year, and unless he knows something, he's going to have a great year this year, right? And be perfect. We're talking about a down market. Maybe it slightly levels out in 2025, and he may be able to get a better deal in 2026 and beyond.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Regardless of where he goes, he's probably going to sell more discs with the next company that he goes to than with Dynamic next year. Or this coming season, I should say. Like,
See, that's
he will
the
sell
other
more
thing,
discs.
Josh. The
He will sell
negotiation
more
could
discs
be
in
like
2026
not as
than
much
he will
money,
in
but
2025.
he knows he'll sell
But it
more
will be
discs.
it'll be
Interesting.
one of those things where it'll spike up, and then right when it's kind of there, it'll spike right back down and level out. Like
And then he
it'll be
wins
the
a world
same thing unless
championship and it spikes out.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
then
and who
exactly.
knows? So like it
That
would be
could
fun.
huge.
It would be fun if I'm wrong
Yeah.
because it'll be a big, exciting splash. Hey, can we cover a few more things? So I think we already covered Climo pretty good, right? But let me just say, because I didn't get to react, that 10-minute video was awesome.
It was awesome.
So I'm just gonna maybe leave it at that. We don't have to debate it, but it was great. I've known Climo, right? Been a fan of it, but just the way it was a 10-minute narrative that stitched it all together, even for me. And hearing him comment how he felt and how he approached and how he was kind of building a foundation, and now he gets to come back and kind of really reinstitute that legacy and do something with it. Like that kind of is like, it was like a hype video of a different sort. So like that was stoked. Where's Big Germ going? Do we know that? Is he going anywhere? We talked about this some before. There's so many types of opportunities for him, but
Ben said it would be shocking
out there. Okay.
I had a fan of the show text me and say, "What's Ben getting at with this shocking thing? Like, what's he getting at with that? Like, where is it?" And I was like, "I haven't talked to Ben about it. I'm leaving that between Ben and his integrity."
Thank you. Yeah, because I told the guy I wouldn't tell, and I haven't told a single.
Can you tell us when we're going to find out?
Yeah.
Disc East or what?
I genuinely have no. I'm so surprised it's not already out. I mean, we're like,
so he's surprised. So
right,
he's going to be at the expo and announce.
Hey, and pretty sure we didn't.
No, he's in New. So here's the thing: he's also in New Zealand right now.
Throwing new plastic.
Like I'm surprised. Yeah, either he's still throwing Innova,
or he's throwing who?
I don't know. That's what
I'm saying. Matt, that was good. Matt, that was good.
If he is throwing another company, I'm surprised it hasn't come out yet because he's actively playing a tournament right now. But he might have just went back to his. I don't know.
His prodigy.
Actually,
hey! The family's coming home to Discraft. My boy Kale is coming back.
Well, this was good. I was going to mention. I don't think we talked about this last week. So
no,
Kale
we need to
did
talk about it
Discraft.
because that's huge news.
Yeah.
Kale the Discraft,
and And did they have what was called an icon team before?
Yes.
And I didn't really understand that.
With Yuli and Johansson.
Michael Johansson, CR Willie, who was actually shouted out in Climo's video.
And then Kale. But his video was a totally different type than Climo's, but it was awesome. And it kind of, it seems like he's excited to get back out there and like still compete. And
it's weird to me. I feel like this is wild, but it feels more weird to me that Kale is throwing Discraft and wearing the hoodie. Because he was like live, breathe prodigy, it felt like, than it is to me, Climo throwing Discraft. Because Climo has been, I hate to say it, but irrelevant for a long time as far as like disc tournaments, throwing discs. So to me, it's kind of like
Kale's
he's coming
part
back,
owner,
refreshing it. Yeah. But like it's more raw weird to me.
Well, Kale was also, I mean, like long time, right, with Prodigy the whole time since the inception of them. And but Kale was also very, very big about publicly defending the accusations and kind of all these other things of people throwing at Prodigy, right? He was always very, very good about defending it. And in his post, he had said, look, it's nothing but love from them, nothing but love for Will and all that. But yeah, to see him kind of go back to Discraft, and it's just kind of Discraft's meeting that need for players to, who knows, maybe it's a money thing, maybe it's a support factor, maybe it's more support with airborne disc golf, maybe it's more support with all these different things than Prodigy could offer, and it allows that person, Kale Leveska, to stay, let's say, relevant, stay involved, and stay pursuing his passion. And I think that's huge. Shout out to Discraft on that one, but also Kale is one of my guys. Like that's my guy in disc golf. There's a few of them. That's one of my guys where if we had him on the podcast, I'd fanboy just as I was with Will Schustrick. So anyways, I was super stoked to see that playing on the same team, even though I'm not on the icon team, but still I'm on Team Discraft and being able to, hopefully I'll play a tournament with Kale as teammates. And why
are you not on an icon team?
Dude, I am not an icon yet. I am not an icon yet.
Yeah. You're just not old enough yet.
I guess, hopefully, maybe when I'm older, I'll be on the
40, Nick on the icon team.
Instantly icon team, dude.
We'll see how the podcast
I just want to
goes.
say, look, I'm gonna real quick. I'm just gonna give me 20 seconds to just boast about Discraft. But like, shout out to Discraft. I thought they were going to drop me this year because I didn't play any tournaments really in 2024. And so I was very, very ready for them to say, like, look, you did not cut it. Dude, Discraft came at me with a contract, and I was super stoked. So shout out West Shinovar, Bob Julio. I am sponsored in 2025 by, I almost just said Prodigy Disc because we were talking about them, but I am sponsored by Discraft once again. And actually, we ran a doubles league, our first doubles league at Olympus this past Wednesday. And I had the absolute time of my life. It reminded me of OG Pyramids Leagues way back in the day. And I'm definitely coming into the 2025 season, going to get back into the competitive side of things. Definitely not tour. It'll be a lot more local events. But I'm stoked, and so shout out Discraft. They've got my back, and hopefully I've got theirs.
Honestly, seeing Nick at the Capital Discs Open nail a 50-footer to go to a playoff, it's the reason I'm here today. I saw that and I was like, I want to be
and
like
that's
him.
why I got to be on the icon team, dude. That was arguably one of my favorite putts I've ever had in disc golf.
It actually was
to do that in front of 120 people, hole 18. And just jam that dude, elevate. Oh man, good times. I lost that playoff, by the way.
See in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, on a ridiculous hole. Yeah.
I know. Dylan Horse. Shout out Dylan Horse. He did beat me on probably the hardest hole to birdie on that course. But anyways, Josh, what do you got?
Well, just like, so moving to two other unrelated things, although we mentioned it a little bit. So Tour Down Under. I've looked at some of that. I'm going to come right out and say I don't know a lot about what's happening, except there's multiple events, right? In New Zealand, I think. And then there's a final. And so it's fun to see some players competing out there. Robert Burridge beating Ezra. So
what is Burridge throwing?
Funny enough, he was actually wearing his Lone Star stuff still.
Yeah, well,
I'm pretty sure
he has, right?
That's what I mean. It's like those are the jerseys that he has, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, but so congrats to him. So it's fun seeing some of this kind of early competition. It's off season, but there's definitely a few players out there that we'd know. And in FPO, we saw, is it Sophia Donake that we interviewed before? Yeah. So she won, but Emily Weatherman had a great showing, who's brand new with Innova this year. So that's two. Well, then Juliana third. So is that three Innova players, I think? In FPO over there, right?
Yeah. Juliana, Sophia, and Emily.
I think so.
Yeah, I guess in the top at least. Obviously, there's a lot. There's actually a plenty of natives there too.
Right, but they won. They were on the podium. So anyway, just thought I'd mention that. You know, we remember when we used to have Evan from Statmando tell us every single event. We're gonna have to stay on top of that. Yeah. But and then Memorial is this weekend. You also heard, was it Savannah Open? I forget. But Memorial obviously much more well known. And there's some players out there. We're gonna see Eagle McMahon and Gannon Burr. And
over at the Memorial,
probably AB. Yeah. I'm guessing.
Hold on.
Have to be AB.
Yes, here it is. Eagle, AB.
Ricky?
Gannon Burr,
Parker Welk, Ezra Robinson.
Parker Welk, new DD.
Parker, Ezra Aderhold, and there's other names too. And then I start skipping some. But so it's not a giant field, but it's kind of cool to see that.
That are there right now.
Anybody who's wanting to take in some disc golf, I think there is coverage on all of these events on some of the various YouTube channels. So we're getting into it. And guys, we're almost done on our show, but we're only 6.5 weeks away from the first official tournament. So
oh God, that sounds awful.
Yeah. So it's coming.
6.5 weeks away from Disc South too.
Stoked.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yep. Pop Drop Lock will be returning, everybody. Shout out to the presenting sponsor last year, Hooligan Disc, coming back to present that segment. And we will be having some small improvements, maybe big ones. We're going to be figuring that out here soon as well. Stay on. If you're not already logged into that, get your username and password created. Boom. PopDropLock.com, by the way.
Yep. Yeah. So I think that's probably it, unless anybody's got anything.
Yeah, I was kind of just going over your stuff right there, Josh.
I got something real quick. Actually, I think this is an interesting comment. I mean, you guys can sound off on it. Patrick says, House of Disc needs to use Latitude 64 and Discmania and swallow the other companies by just what.
Josh, were you not on the show, Ben? Josh talked about that. Was it 2 or 3 weeks ago? Josh, that was kind of Josh's take. That would happen before bankruptcy.
I wasn't there. But that'd be intriguing. Would that make sense to just go Latitude and just take their molds and then just under one brand? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, before you would actually go bankrupt, that was my point before. I'm like, there's so many other restructuring options you have. I don't know if that makes the most sense because we don't know enough about their books. Like you can diversify your portfolio, right, with all these other brands. So that may still be a viable option for them. To be honest, we're seeing lots of kind of tough signs about layoffs and maybe restructuring of sponsorships and smaller teams. But I would just say that also could be a sign of an organization that's getting healthy. Like you cannot tell, right? Like in other words, they could have been inflated and they were heading down a track, and now you see them trimming the fat, and maybe DD will be in an awesome place.
You gotta trim the fat, yeah.
Right. So like it's really hard to
is.
tell what's really happening. Like, is it a sinking ship, right? And they're throwing everything overboard because you're just hoping, right, that you don't go all the way down.
Yeah.
Right. Or is this like, no, this was just weighing us down. We're gonna chuck some stuff, and now we're gonna be like cruising, right? We got a three to 5 year
I think it's
plan.
a combo. I think it's a combo because if you're trimming fat, then you're obviously struggling. But
yeah, but that might be a good thing. You're gonna get
I'm saying I already made this point. I think here of just how like every company always has like you always hear every tech company cuts at wherever, and then and then it goes down, and then then it comes back up, and they hire more people, and then cuts, and
yeah. Well,
yeah,
we'll see.
There's
We'll
a lot
see
that
if we have
goes
to
into
hire or
it.
fire anybody on this show. Not yet, at least.
Well, everybody, thank you for joining in on this wonderful Monday night to our episode of Staggered Stance. We're coming up on the 2025 season. Super stoked about it. It's awesome actually seeing where all these players are going. Very, very stoked to see where some other big players are going to end up in the next few weeks. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on the YouTube channel. Check us all out on your favorite podcast platforms. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Tell someone you love them this week. Peace.
Ben, the Expos this weekend.
Next weekend,
20
Disc East.
25, 26?
25 and 26. So be there. All the Staggered Stance guys are going to be there. Maybe not Nick, but I don't know. Maybe not.
He had a lot of
I have
pros.
no
Maybe
idea.
not me. We don't know.
But yeah,
Come hang out.
we got Gainenber, Paul McBeth, AB.
Happy
Jace
to have you
Proctor,
all
Simon,
every single
Claymore.
week.
It's awesome.
And frankly, we love doing it. We got to put it together, and this is pretty awesome. We've been doing it. This is going.
Dude,
to our
I love
sixth
doing it.
season.
I'll do this
Sixth
forever.
Shout out Titan Disc Golf. Use our code 10% off their website.
Staggered Stance.
We love Titan Disc Golf. They're
that's
also going to
not
be at
the
the
code.
expo. Well, Matt's going to be at the expo. No, I know. I was saying like we love
And Josh.
Titan Disc Golf. Like we love them. We actually love them.
So-
That's not the code.
Matt Schlabach, again, the owner of Titan Disc Golf Des Moines. Again, they have multiple Titan Disc Golfs. His nickname, everybody, if you don't know it, next time you see him, you just shout it out in a crowd. It's Schley Daddy.
Slay
Play
Daddy.
daddy.
That's the man.
Schley Daddy. Anyways, enough about him. TitanDiscGolf.com. Use the code Staggered Stance, get 10% off everything except their already rock bottom price on MVP. Again, find competitive pricing, free shipping over $75. We love having them as the presenting sponsor of Staggered Stance. Thank you guys. Until next time, we'll catch you out there. Peace out, everybody.
See you Thursday. See you Thursday.
Oh yeah, sick bonus episode.